Return to Gallo at the front of the field. Oh, he's on the curve. Oh, he's round sold. Oh, you can see the frustration there in his face.
For me, getting the revenge is not only against the other guys, but also something personal.
And this is fantastically close. It's a run to the line, but Gallo wins by 600ths of a second in the Nations Cup.
For the World Series to Nations Cup race, I expect to have the same battles as we had in the last Nations Cup race at Monza.
So it's Angel Enestrosa who wins round one of the 2021 Manufacturers World Series.
The first race of this World Series was pretty intense, I would say, because you're racing to the best guys, to the best drivers from each manufacturer. The drivers that I think will be the toughest to beat, I would say everyone.
In towards the chicane we go, Troncoso onto the curve, onto the outside and spins it round. That's a disaster for Manuel Troncoso.
Everyone has a chance to win the race, to win the championship, so it's going to be a challenge to try to beat them on the actual race.
I think aside the performance, we also have to give some show on the track.
And welcome to the latest supercharged instalment of the FIA certified Gran Turismo Championships. It's the second round of the World Series, which means we've got two action-packed races coming up. Both of them feature our man of the moment, yes, Valerio Gallo from Italy, who's fresh from his triumph at the Olympic Virtual Series motorsport events. Coming up a little bit later, we'll have another epic Nations Cup battle. But before that, it's the Manufacturers Series, where Team Porsche and their driver Angel Enestrosa took the 3 points on offer in the first round. Team Mazda and Team Subaru also picked up valuable points. And remember, those points contribute towards the World Finals and could make all the difference at the end of the year. So, which of our 12 manufacturers is going to come out on top today? Well, let's waste no time finding out. Our dynamic duo, Tom Brooks and Jimmy Broadbent, are in the GT garage. Over to you guys.
Yeah, cheers, Julia. So Manufacturer Series action on the way, first of all, here today. I mean, if we look at the form book, Jimmy, it's hard to discount Angel Enestrosa and Team Porsche, right?
Yeah, Porsche has been mighty for what feels like the last year or so. Really fast in the combination, of course, with Angel Enestrosa, as you say. Another people to watch out for, Takuma Miyazono, triple champion. We're going to really get our mileage out of saying that because he's very, very fast and always very difficult to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at Toyota, Mercedes-Benz, right there. There's no clear sort of runaway winner with this, is there?
Well, that's the really cool thing about Manufacturers Series is that different tracks, different strengths, different weaknesses. So each car has sort of their time to shine as we go through the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, drivers then are out on track. Let's see how they're getting on.
So round two then of our Manufacturer Series takes part at the Nürburgring GP circuit. We're using Group 3 cars today with the racing medium and the soft tyre being available. Both are mandatory, and given that it's a 15-lap race and we have a tyre wear rate of 5 times, using that soft tyre at the right time is going to be absolutely paramount. Single lap qualifying today. Let's see how our drivers get on.
It was Team Toyota's Adriano Corazza who set the early pace in qualifying. But could anyone pip him for pole?
Here is Angel Enestrosa. He won last time out, so we're looking definitely to repeat that for Porsche. Very, very quick on his day, and I think he fancies himself today as another winner.
Yeah, absolutely. That Porsche 911 has been very, very quick in its most recent balance of performance update, and we keep seeing how he'll get on. Likewise, this man here, Valerio Gallo, of course, runner-up in the FIA Gran Turismo Championships in the Nations Cup in 2020, doing really good things out there so far this year in the Manufacturer Series also.
Last but certainly not least, this man, Takuma Miyazono, actually managed to get onto the podium after a pretty bad qualifying, I think, last time out. He was definitely well outside the top 3, but third in the race.
What about Angel Enestrosa? He's coming around to go through to that beam, and where is he going to go? He's going to go even quicker indeed, so this is going to get quite interesting here.
So we go on board then with Takuma Miyazono in the Subaru. Someone in qualifying didn't do too well last time out. Let's see how late he wants to break down to the hairpin here, using all of the road on the outside. They're a bit of understeer on the way in, but picks up the second part of the corner very nicely. How are his sector times doing? Let's take a look. He's currently up at the moment. Very quick lap so far.
Didn't look like it was a particularly brilliant final corner there for Enestrosa in the Porsche. He goes 6th quickest, so has lost quite a lot of time in that final sector. What about Valerio Gallo then in the Honda NSX? Where is he going to place from the rest of the field? It goes 2nd quickest. Takuma Miyazono quickest in the final sector. The Subaru comes towards the timing line, and it's pole position then for round 2 of the Manufacturer Series for Team Subaru and Takuma Miyazono. Brilliant lap time then from the Japanese driver. He heads the field as we get ready to go racing. So, a fascinating qualifying session then for round 2 of the Manufacturers Series. It's Takuma Miyazono who claimed pole position for Team Subaru ahead of Toyota in second place. But, I mean, just look at how close that field is. 10 drivers separated by a second.
Yeah, and 8 within half a second. It's always really close in these races. That's what we expect them to be. These are the best of the best racing today. I got to say, though, of course, big upset for Vinny Nato down the bottom there. 12th position, and very frustrated that result. 1.1 off the leader there.
And the 2 Chilean drivers, Nicolas Rubilar, Angel Inestrosa, with lots of work to do. Inestrosa, of course, won round 1 earlier on this year. He's going to have a real tall order to do the same from 10th place on the grid.
Congratulations to Team Subaru and Takuma Miyazono for securing pole position for our Manufacturer Series race. This gives them a great launch pad to win the 3 points which come with finishing first. Tom and Jimmy are at the Holostrator to tell us more about the famous track that we're racing on.
Yep, cheers, Julia. Welcome then over to the Holostrator, our chance to have a virtual look at the Nürburgring GP circuit. This is personally one of my favourite tracks to drive on. Opened back in 1984, and it's just awesome.
Absolute stat book over here. It's great to have that. And also in your back garden, you've got the Nordschleife, one of the best circuits in the world, of course, in my humble opinion. But this track, still amazing as well, split into 4 different sectors. We're going to be taking a close look, though, at T1 and T7.
Yeah, absolutely right. This, of course, are the heavy braking zones, really, on the circuit. Hairpin bends down into the first corner. The track sort of falls away from you here, and you can see Lopez going up the inside of Igor Fraga, but he runs it wide as that sort of camber falls away. However, he's able to use the momentum to hold it around the outside. It flicks left for turn 2. Lopez getting himself into the lead, and that's how easy these drivers can make it look.
There is very much one quick line for T1, as you say, that camber. Very important to get the car tucked into that. Otherwise, you just find yourself just understeering out to exit. So drivers will be looking to make use of that today.
Great stuff. Well, Nürburgring in Germany is the scene of our race, but our 12 drivers representing the 12 highest-ranked manufacturers in Gran Turismo are spread all over the world. And as such, you can watch the show in any of these different languages to maximise your enjoyment. Talking of enjoyment, ahead of the race, let's take a quick look back at all of the action from the last round.
The 2021 Manufacturer Series got off to a memorable start.
Have a look, goes up the inside there, that's Gallo.
Drivers were racing close to the edge and sometimes going over it.
he's round, C60, 720 nearly.
It was the calm and collected Angel Inestrosa who took victory for Team Porsche.
Pretty happy with the result, and yeah, I don't know, I just took some chances to overtake people, and that gave me the win at the end. The team's goal is obviously win this championship. Getting a good start always a great thing, because you start getting focused on what you need to do on every race, and hopefully the team can do this through the entire championship.
Team Lamborghini's Manuel Troncoso is hoping for better luck than in round 1. He was cruising to a podium place on the final lap when disaster struck.
In towards the chicane we go. Troncoso onto the curb, onto the outside, and spins it round.
Fue como de decepción, enojo, tristeza, frustración, y en un momento me dio hasta un poco de gracia por no podérmelo creer. Así que eso fue realmente mi emoción en ese momento.
Troncoso's bumpy start of the season was matched by Team Honda's Valerio Gallo.
Not getting the good scores in round 1 surely put me some pressure, but at the same time it gave me much more motivation to improve after the last race.
Team Mazda came second in round 1, followed by last season's champions Team Subaru. With points only going to podium finishers, there's more pressure to perform than ever.
For the World Series 2 Manufacturers race, I expect to, first of all, not do any mistake and be more consistent. And also, yeah, to try have my revenge for the Manufacturers Cup.
Well, I think that Valerio Gallo, I would say he's the best driver in Gran Turismo right now. He's one of the drivers I want to beat the most.
Let's hope this second round of the Manufacturer Series lives up to the drama of the first. Tom and Jimmy are trackside for the big race.
So here we are then, the grid is lined up for round 2 of the Manufacturer Series for the 2021 FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships. It's Takuma Miyazono for Subaru who starts on pole position. Alongside him on the front row is the Brazilian Adriano Corazza for Toyota. Row 2 of the grid is headed by the Italian Valerio Gallo for Honda. And alongside him he has got Ryota Kokubun for Mazda for company. Row number 3 is the Mercedes of Lucas Pinelli, the Brazilian driver in the AMG GT3. Has got Toshihiro Kato in the Ford GT alongside him. Next row of the grid is Donovan Parker, the American driver in the Volkswagen Beetle. And P8 on the grid is Manuel Troncoso in the Lamborghini Huracan. Next up on the grid is Nicolas Rubelar, difficult qualifying for the Chilean driver down in P9 for BMW, with Angel Inestrosa, the round 1 winner, starting in 10th position for Porsche. 11th on the grid is Alex Lee, the Frenchman, in the Citroën. And then next up is Vinicius Nato in the Audi R8. That's the grid lined up then. 15 laps for our drivers here, Jimmy. Soft and medium tyres available, top 3 starting on softs. Yeah, we tend to see this, don't we? The lads at the top of the field will go on that soft compound tyre, try and get away quickly, and while the people in the mediums are opposite thing, save the soft tyre for the end when they've got a little bit of space, and then they can really use that speed on that soft compound. Interestingly, only the top 3. I would have thought we'd seen more than that. There are our tyre strategies, as we see. Basically, you split it down the middle, which is nice and easy for us, because that way we get to remember it easier. And of course, only having 2 compounds of tyre available for these drivers is a little bit different to what we've had where we have the 3 compounds. We should see them using these tyres for longer stints.
Yeah, definitely. As you say, 7 and 8 laps, you reckon we'll see it. If you can make that soft last 8 laps, you're going to have an overall quicker race time. So I think that'll be the goal for our drivers.
So here then is Takuma Miyazono leading the field around the final corner here at the Nürburgring GP circuit. Interestingly, we haven't raced here since 2019, so great to see the circuit making a return in the FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships. It'll be Miyazono then who leads the field over the line as we get ready to start round 2 of the Manufacturer Series for the FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships. Corazza and Gallo also on the soft component of tyre as we get 15 laps of racing underway here then in Germany. So Miyazono leads the field on the run down towards that first corner. Gallo there in the slipstream, drivers weaving, trying to get heated to their tyres as they come down into the braking zone. Very late on the brakes there for Adriano Corazza, and I think there was contact with Miyazono there, runs him out a bit wide. Also Kokubun going wide at the first turn there as well, but fortunately, despite that contact, as you can see a penalty being picked up there for Corazza, Miyazono still manages to retain the lead.
Yeah, just completely blew the braking zone there, and as to make matters worse, Valerio Gallo is going to make his way through in the NSX around the outside. Now Corazza's got the inside line though, but that'll turn into the outside for the next corner. A bit of a disastrous start there for the Brazilian, pretty hot off the grid, and then straight into the back of Takuma Miyazono. He'll serve that 1 second penalty now, and that'll put him right to the back of the field in that soft tyre.
Lucas Pinelli's right on his rear bumper here. He's about to serve that penalty, as you said, Jimmy. Coming into that penalty zone, you can see that with the yellow markers either side of the circuit, sensibly pulls off of the racing line to allow the retaining field through, but that's a disaster of a start for the Brazilian driver. Kokubun, Kato going through, as well as Parker by the looks of things. On the inside there is Corazza versus Parker into the hairpin, just about manages to keep himself ahead and into 6th position, but from challenging for the race lead, bearing in mind of course he's on the quicker compound of tyre now, that's not good at all.
And because of that little sort of scrap with Valerio Gallo at the start there for Corazza, Miyazono's got a bit of a buffer now, already 1.6 seconds to the end of the lap, and that means he's actually out of the draft, so Gallo's now got to catch him on pace alone, so to speak, and I think Lucas Pinelli is the person who's actually benefit from all this. 3rd place onto the podium spot already, a long way to go though.
Yeah, absolutely. 15 laps here at the Nürburgring circuit, so plenty of time for things changing. Just see at the top of the hill coming into that chicane, that is where the race leader Takuma Miyazono sits. Here is the recovery drive of Adriano Corazza. He's going to have to really muscle his way through the field. Of course, all the drivers in front of him, of Pinelli, Kokubun and immediately of Kato, are on the medium compound tyre, whereas Corazza is on the soft, so you can imagine that of course it wouldn't be too difficult for him to get past. However, these drivers don't like making things easy, so over the line we go to start the 2nd lap of racing here then. Of course, the drivers in front all have the advantage of the slipstream, so in a straight line, he's not going to be that much quicker than anybody else at the moment.
And Corazza made damn sure there to brake in the right spot, I think. Get the car into the corner, not run into the person in the car in front. That can happen sometimes. It can really knock your confidence, and, well, that's not happening right now. Corazza setting up the inside of Kato there, as you can. Of course, in that soft compound tyre, it's got that bit of that tyre advantage there. Oh, we're looking again now on Kokubun in the Mazda. Aggressive driving so far from the Brazilian. You would have thought he might have calmed down a little bit after that punt at the start, but no, I think he knows he has to get back by Kokibun and by Benelli to really use most of his soft compound. But every time you go offline, every time you force the car into a move, you're burning that tyre.
Yeah, and don't forget, of course, he and Kokibun have a bit of history. If we hop back to the World Tour in Japan in 2019, they were going hammer and tong for the victory. Here you can see them going hammer and tong again as Corazza sends it down the inside. Later on the brakes, the soft compound of tyre giving him more grip and inherently giving him fourth position as well.
There you go, nice. It's just making his way back up the field now, but damage is done at this point. He's already about a second or 2 seconds or so off the other soft runners, so it doesn't sound like much, but it all matters in these races. I mean, you bear in mind these guys are some of the, well, they are the best Gran Turismo drivers in the world, and when you pop them in here, the gaps are tiny. It's 2 seconds is an age, really, as we continue watching Corazza coming on to the back straight now, back on board with a driver. There is Lucas Benelli. He's our next target. We're using the toe, using the slipstream down here, preparing now for the chicane. Look to the markers on the right-hand side. We're going to use those to brake and slow us down. We brake just past the 100-metre board, throw it over the curb. Be very careful. Super easy to pick up a penalty through there if you're putting a bit too much pressure on the curbs, and then use all this outside curb to then turn the car into the right onto the pit straight. This is a very important corner because, as we always say, you lose something at the corner, you lose it all the way down the straight, but Corazza is gaining.
Yeah, absolutely right. I want to have a quick talk about Angel Nostroza, down in P9 at the moment in the Porsche. If we look back to round one a month or so ago, he won that in dominant fashion, took pole position, took the win, and was never really challenged throughout the entirety of this. What on earth is he doing down in P9?
Well, one of the great things, Tom, about the manufacturers series, in my opinion anyway, is the different cars suit different circuits. Maybe around here, that Porsche just isn't quite gelling the same way it did at Suzuka. But also, it might have been an off day for Angel. He didn't qualify so well. He's had to come back through the field there. But keep an eye on him, though. We know he's a quick guy, so we'll probably see him come back through the field. Great scenes, great pictures here from the back of Lucas Benelli in the AMG. Good job hustling that Mercedes up into third place and keeping it there. Of course, it was sort of Corazza's fault that put him there in the first place, but coming back strong, Corazza. He's not letting the top two get away, and now I think he's going to try and size up a move here on Benelli, coming down to the hairpin. Will he go over to the right-hand side of the course? He does, but a little bit late on. A bit of a half move there by Corazza. I'm not sure there was contact. I think Benelli sort of saw him coming and opened the steering a little bit to avoid contact, but that was a little bit clumsy. Yeah, not ideal there for Corazza. He's just been a bit scrappy. Either way, he's now up into third position. I wonder whether the stewards are going to be having a look at some of his etiquette of driving over the first few laps, because he has got his elbows out, and, well, it's not been ideal for him. He's now 3 seconds back of Valerio Gallo in second position. No such problems for this man here, the race leader, Takuma Miyazono. Of course, Subaru, the Manufacturers Series champions of 2020, finished third in round one, did Takuma as well. Great to see him up the sharp end of the field, and he's got those 3 World Tour points in the bag already, and if he carries on as it is, he'll be set to take another 3 points. Valerio Gallo, though, he had a dog's day in round one, finished 9th on the order, and he's just picked up a penalty there as well. That will be for exceeding track limit. It's automatically given in game there for that, so he's going to have to serve that in the next penalty zone, which is going to drop him a little bit closer to Corazza and a bit further away from the race leader. I would find it interesting watching Valerio Gallo, because on his own, when he's got no one around him, he is fast, he's very quick, but then I think he is so sensible to a bit of pressure lock-up there on the way, and that's interesting to see. A lot of these guys also run ABS in these things. Of course, they do have ABS, as the real-life cars would have as well, but sometimes they opt to turn it off, and there, Gallo there, just snatching the inside tyre there, easy to do that. But you see that pressure, he's now pushing a bit harder, and when you start pushing a bit harder, the car starts sliding a bit more, you start putting the car over more of a circuit, and in reality here, that's a 1 second penalty. It doesn't sound like much again, but you're going to see the impact. It isn't 1 second, that's it. It's you slow down for 1 second, and then you get back up running again. So it's more like 2 or 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming into the penalty zone there now is Valerio Gallo, so he's going to drop a second back from Takuma Miyazono. My apologies, by the way, I got the points incorrect. It's Subaru who have 1 point on the board and will be set to take another 3 as it stands, as it was. Of course, it was Team Porsche that won round 1 of the World Series about a month or so ago. Another penalty there picks up for Adriano Corazza. You can see that on the tower graphic on the left-hand side of your screen. That's indicated by the red dot, and presumably, again, that'll be another track limits indiscretion there for Corazza. So well, he's picking up the penalties pretty fast, unfortunately, but not positioned at the moment.
Well, he's won something in this race, which is the penalty league. He's won that. Good job, mate.
He's always been good at taking penalties, so that's not a bad shout.
Yeah, that's all right. So midfield now. I say midfield now. This is battle for 4th and 5th. These are the lead medium runners. So these are the lead of the alternate strategy, so to speak. Well, the main strategy. There are more medium runners than there are soft runners. On board now with Ryota Kokibun. Very, very quick driver. One of the best drivers in Japan as well. Now hustling through the chicane. trying to catch up with Lucas Benelli, the Brazilian, in the German car. So very diverse in terms of nationalities here and what's being represented. One of the great things about the GT Sport series, in my opinion, as we now come down the main straight again. That 5 with our first pit stop. Angelina Stroza often coming quite early there, trying to make those soft lasts for 10 laps. That's going to be difficult.
Well, he's been in no man's land all weekend, hasn't he, really? So he's got to try something different just to get himself a bit further up the order, and maybe it'll be a strategy that pays off. We'll see as the rest of the field comes on through and their strategies work out. I was actually having a look at some stats coming into this race. Driver with the most wins here, Manuel Troncoso for Lamborghini, down in 8th place. The most practiced driver, obviously, Manuel Troncoso, as a result of that there as well. He's also had the most top 5 finishes, he's led the most laps here, but the highest win percentage actually goes to Alex Lee down there in P10. He's won 86.7% of the races he's competed in here at the Nürburgring. This, of course, accounts for the online series with the FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships as well. So it's just interesting to see how that is, and of course, doesn't necessarily mean that just because you've got the highest number of wins that you're going to be performing that well under race conditions. Carrazza, meanwhile, serves his penalty, and that's going to allow Lucas Benelli to pull alongside into the braking zone of the hairpin. Side by side they run, Mercedes versus Toyota. Kokeman fancies joining the party, Benelli up into 3rd position, so it is the Mercedes ahead of the Toyota, the 2 Brazilian drivers jostling amongst one another, and now Kokeman can sniff an opportunity to get himself to 4th place here.
Yeah, we'll see. Will he try and follow Carrazza through? Carrazza's going to be inside here. He wants to try and get the move made as soon as possible. Vargas will go straight into the back, late on the brakes there, tries to downshift to try and slow the car down on the engine braking, but goes straight into the back of Benelli, and there you go, a 1 second contact penalty there. You're going to be more careful than that. I think got a bit too excited about the prospects maybe getting through, and a rare mistake really from Kokeman. We don't really see that from him, so obviously he's feeling the pressure too at the moment. Benelli almost looking to try and get back by Carrazza now. Those soft tyres on Carrazza's Supra are going to start feeling a little bit second-hand at this point. It's going to start wearing away, and the medium, whilst wearing a little bit slower, might start to match in performance. You're seeing again Carrazza being just harried there by Benelli behind. Valerio Gallo into the pit lane as well. The first of our soft runners deciding to come in to get rid of that and go onto the medium.
Yeah, sensible there for Valerio Gallo to get himself out of the traffic rather, as he comes into the pit lane, then onto the medium compound of tyres with 10 laps remaining. Of course, these are the more durable compound. They're slower than the softs over the course of the race, but the crucial thing is where's Gallo going to emerge in relation to the rest of the field? Vinicius Neto was not too far up the road from him, so it could be interesting. He's got 2.4 seconds to Neto now, so that's enough of a buffer as it stands, because you'd imagine that the rest of the medium runners who haven't pitted so far are going to be coming in very shortly, so it shouldn't affect his race there too much as he's now out on track on the start of lap 6. Kokeman's picked up a penalty then for that contact into the back of Lucas Benelli on that last lap. He's going to drop back from this field, and that's going to really scupper his race and could make things quite interesting when it comes into the pit stops and when he comes in, as to where he's going to emerge out for the rest of the field and making their stops.
Yeah, it's always tricky to predict those things. What a lot of people maybe don't know is when you're driving these events, you are effectively doing 3 or 4 roles at once. You're the driver, you're the race engineer, and also you're the strategist at the same time, which can be quite tricky when you're out there. That's why I think our sim racers maybe don't get as fair a rep as we should get. But we'll see what he does. I'm interested. Interestingly, with Gallo as well, he has come out in traffic actually. He's going to catch Neto and Lee in an essay pit this lap, so it's either going to be a master stroke or not so much. But again, you're just sort of rolling the dice a bit there when you make that pit stop.
The thing is with Carrazza, he's kind of in the unfortunate position here because he's going to emerge out close to Benelli, close to Kokeman, and of course they're all going to be on the soft compound of tyre, so he's going to be on the slower compound, which is why if you're on the softs you need to make hay while the sun shines on those quick tyres and pull a gap to everybody else. But
like this lad here.
Exactly, yeah, like Miyazono's just been in a different postcode to everybody else, hasn't he?
Do you know why? He's just kept it clean. Other people have had penalties. He's not. He's gone around, driven his own race, just focusing on his marks, and we haven't spoken about him too much at the moment, but that's because there's been nothing really to talk about. He's been driving away at the front. He's got an 8-second gap at the moment over Carrazza. Of course, he owes a stop to his closest competitor, which is Valerio Gallo, I think. We'll see how that ends up, of course. But you know, you see, Gallo is now starting to get into a little bit of traffic. He's now only a second behind Neto as well. We'll keep an eye on it. Here comes Kokeman in for the pit stop, as we thought he would be. Onto the softs now, and going to try. Has he come out into a little gap? Hopefully, for his sake, he has. Nope, there he goes. He's now behind a couple of other drivers as well. I think that's what Jonathan Parker did there. Oh, right on the apex there. Kokeman wants to get that move done as soon as he can. He's on the fast tyre now. Good, gets that done. And now Angelina Stroza in front of him now on that soft compound pound a tyre. That'll be interesting to see who comes better at that. But Inestrosa, what a race from him. He's now ahead of Kokibun, who was running 4th position, so he's really had a good comeback.
Yeah, nicely done there for Angel Inestrosa, needing to do that really, because as we said, he's not really featured too much in this race. Once the pit stops all work out, we'll see how it does work out in terms of the race conditions then. But you can see the drivers on the tower graphic on the left-hand side of your picture who haven't made their stops. Here's Valerio Gallo on the back of Vinicius Nato, both on the medium compound tyre, but Gallo's of course a lot fresher than the Brazilian drivers, and you can see that as well. So much more confidence under braking coming into that hairpin. Coming into the Michael Schumacher S, it's going to be very much one at a time through there, but I reckon into the left-hander at the top of the hill, turn 13 is where we could see Gallo try and pounce on the back of Nato in the slipstream, then pulls to the inside. He's going to have a lot more grip under braking. Here is Gallo in the Honda, down the inside he goes and into 6th position as well.
See how aggressive Gallo is driving, he's just stabbing at the throttle, just trying to get a little bit more rotation as we go through the S, and Nato in the background. Oh, he's sideways there, trying to follow Gallo's line, but doesn't quite have the grip. This is the man right now who knows he has to push. So Gallo on a charge at the moment, but he starts to make those medium tyres last. They will fall off as well towards the end of the race. Takuma Miyazono into the pit lane.
Into the pits that he goes, onto the medium compound of tyre. Carazza following suit as well. And let's see whether any other drivers are going to. Yeah, a lot of medium runners going to be coming in now as well, presumably. Benelli, Cato, Rubilar, Gallo has already pitted, of course, Gallo there. So 4, 5 drivers into the pit lane. Where are they going to emerge in relation to the rest of the field? This will be crunch time then. Here is Takuma Miyazono, the race leader. He's surely going to have enough of a buffer compared to everybody else. He's ahead of Nicolas Rubilar. He's ahead of Valerio Gallo as well. Of course, Rubilar, the only driver who's kind of out of sequence, who hasn't pitted, doesn't hold up too much of a challenge there for Gallo. Releases the Italian into clean air, and the gap sits at 2.7 seconds with 8 laps now remaining.
What a shame to see Nico Rubilar sort of just roll over like that. Well, what's happened to Rubilar? He used to be someone who's at the top end of the field, but he's just lost that fire recently, and maybe these things come and go, form ebbs and flows, but right now not so much for Rubilar. But here we are. What a fight this is. Looking back from Adriano Carazza in the Toyota. Behind him we have soft runners, Inestrosa, Kokibun, Parker, and I think also Troncoso is there in the background in the Lamborghini. Someone definitely to watch. We know how fast he is in that thing, and oh, he's being absolutely pressured at the moment. He's holding this group up, and Inestrosa, what a drive from Angel right from the back of the field. Right now he's +5, I reckon he's going to be +6 very soon. Will he ever move down into the hairpin here? No, he doesn't. If anyone's going to drive defensively and drive defensively well, it is going to be Carazza. So these guys are going to have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, let's see what's going to happen then. Coming at the top of the hill in towards that Schumacher S. It's turn 13, where I'd imagine the moves are going to be made, if not the chicane of the final corner as well. Through the right-hander they go, up the top of the hill. Not quite close enough to mount a challenge then on Adriano Carazza. Carazza just positioning his car well. And the thing is, he's not defending clean air as it stands at the moment. He's just driving his normal racing line, parking it on the apex, and not allowing an opportunity for Inestrosa and Kokibun to find their way into the passing opportunities.
Can't help but root for the Beetle. Go on, Beetle. Go on, get in there, mix it up.
There's no bias in this commentary by the way.
I just like the Beetle. I like them all, really. But on board now with Kokibun into the last chicane. You can see it is very much one at a time through them. You can also see how easy it is to pick up a penalty if you're a little bit too sharp on one of the corners. We're on board still with Kokibun. Rubilar into the pit lane, but that's not really having much of a change in the race standings from here. As we go down the pit straight once again, this is now going to be the best chance for Angel to have a move. He's right in the toe of Carazza. He must surely either goes to the inside line. I don't think there's much really Carazza can do here. On the brakes late, Kokibun's going to try and follow him through. Goes down the centre of both of them. Contact pushes Angel through. That helps him. And there goes a Beetle. There goes Donovan Parker. Really making advantage of that situation. Round the outside, another penalty for Kokibun too. But we're still looking at Parker and Carazza. Carazza trying to defend on the inside. Parker's going to have the inside with his right-hander though. And there you go. The Beetle is by up into 4th position.
That's the second time we've seen Kokibun make a complete haulix of the braking zone there for the Brazilian driver. Not ideal at all. Carazza, though, is going to try and fight back on Donovan Parker into the left-hander. He won't have the grip under braking in the corners to try and use it. And the thing is with Carazza, as we said, he started on that soft compound tyre. He's going to potentially finish in the lower half of the top 10. This is really disappointing for him. Kokibun serves his penalty then, pulls off the racing line very sensibly there. That's going to allow the rest of the field to come through and makes it from a 3-car train trying to challenge Carazza to a 2-car train. But either way, the Brazilian driver definitely on the back foot here, and you think it's probably only going to be a matter of time before Troncoso in the Lamborghini and Benelli in the Mercedes are going to be right on the back bumper of him and trying to challenge.
It's just been a sloppy race for Carazza all out, really. I mean, he's now looking to maybe try and get by Parker again. Oh, well, I was going to actually give it a go. Oh, come on, mate. He's putting his car in places where he really shouldn't be right now. Now he's suffering for it. Here comes Troncoso on the inside and Benelli. So, Carrazza, mate, that's what you get if you're being that aggressive. You're going to get steam trained, and he has been now, down to 7th place. It's the same for Kokeman too. All this mess, all these penalties, it adds up, and now he's back in a fight that he does not want to be in. He's still having a go at his countryman, Lucas Benelli, there, pushing him off the course. I don't know, this is not the Carrazza that I'm used to seeing.
Here's Kokeman on the inside there of Carrazza as well into the final corner. Mazda versus Toyota, 2 Japanese marks going door handle to door handle. Kokeman getting himself ahead of Carrazza then, but yeah, Carrazza, he's just been all out of sorts ever since it all went wrong for him in the first lap of the race. He's just been off form, really. Here's Troncoso onto the back of Donovan Parker. This is the battle for 4th position, and again, 2 drivers who've had quiet races, but it's coming to them now in the latter stages.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at the moment, Troncoso's up 3 places on his starting position, so really making good progress. And you're probably wondering why all these soft runners are moving forward. Bear in mind, if you're maybe new to watching this soft tyre, a lot quicker than the medium tyre in these early stages. It will start to fall off as we get to the end of the race, or near the end of the race. But right now, these are the guys to watch out for. And you're seeing the difference between if you have a fast first stint with Miyazono and Gallo 6 seconds up the road, or you have a messy first stint like Carrazza did. Now he's just a sitting duck for all these guys on the soft tyre.
This is going to be very interesting now. 5 laps, less than 5 laps, 4.5 laps remain of round 2 of the World Series. Of course, points to be on offer for the top 3 finishers in this race. Coming into it, it was Porsche that led the way, and Helena Stroza doing a good job of trying to keep Porsche's tally going very strongly indeed, sitting there in 3rd position just up the road as they go through that Schumacher S then. So Donovan Parker in 4th and Manuel Troncoso in 5th will be trying to do everything they can. I think the interesting question is, will Inestrosa have enough pace underneath him to try and close that gap down to Valerio Gallo? 6.3 seconds it sits at the moment, 4.5 laps now remaining. He's going to need to be pretty lively to catch up to the back of the Italian.
Just haven't got the last lap times at the moment, not enough. Only a couple of attempts a lap faster is Inestrosa at this point. Oh, of course, bear in mind, Inestrosa went up to the soft early, so he's probably going to be suffering at the moment, trying to make that gap as best he can. Donovan Parker now is heading the train in the mighty Beetle, with Troncoso behind, and now here comes Benelli up the inside at the moment. He's going to make the move. He does. Benelli then up the inside of Troncoso. Nice move there. I think he just caught Troncoso off guard, made the move, and now he goes in pursuit of Donovan Parker. Again, Benelli's good job here. I think he was 8th after the pit stop, and he's really starting to make his way back up the field.
Yeah, good to see there for Lucas Benelli. Troncoso, that all starting as he came wide out of that final chicane, just dips a wheel onto the grass on the outside, stops his traction for a brief moment. That allowed Benelli to have an opportunity to send it up the inside into that final corner. And now the crucial question is Troncoso going to be coming under pressure here from Rio to Kokeman? Again, another driver who's had a scrappy race, not in comparison to Adriano Carrazza, but either way, not the form we're used to seeing from the Japanese driver, but definitely the form we're used to seeing from this man, Takuma Miyazono. 2.9 seconds, the gap now sits to Valerio Gallo. I mean, he's just in a class of his own as it stands.
I'm fairly sure Miyazono is driving the equivalent of having your feet up on a desk and relaxing at the moment. He's out there just doing his laps, no pressure. He's got a 3-second buffer to Valerio Gallo. All he's got to do is drive around as he has been doing. This race is going to be his, but you never know. Gallo might find a bit of speed. Miyazono might make a rare mistake. We've seen a few mistakes from drivers we're not used to seeing. Kokeman, of course, being one of them, as we're now on board with the Japanese driver behind Troncoso. V10 versus Rotary. I can get on board with that. I can get on board with that, definitely. Through the Schumacher S, using all the curb on both sides now. Good place to try and set up a move if you're feeling lucky. Benelli there, maybe looking for that move on Donovan Parker in front. I think in the background, maybe Kokeman has gone for the move on Troncoso. So Kokeman up now into 6th place. We're still focusing on 4th and 5th. And this might be a run for Benelli here down the straight into the toe. Will he ever go into the chicane?
So side by side they come. Benelli on the inside, then he's in at the outside line into the chicane, but he's got more traction. Donovan Parker doesn't put up too much of a fight going into the braking zone. He's certainly been the quicker of the drivers, and Benelli, because of course Inestrosa in front is on the worn soft tyres, is going to be really close and potentially on for a podium in the Mercedes here. That's as good a form as we've seen from Mercedes for a long time.
Here, this is interesting because Benelli has the speed right now. Inestrosa, it's been a great race from him, but those tyres have got to be complaining at this point. He's been on them for 7 laps already, and we think that's about as far as they'll go without degrading. He's got another 3.5 laps to do at this point, another 4 laps to do, so we'll see what Benelli can do in that AMG Mercedes. Usually we see these front-wheel drive cars being a bit understeery at this point. We'll see all the weights over the front, big engine at the front there. There's a V8 in this thing, so it's not a small engine, big old displacement as well. But going well so far. Donovan Parker also, again, a driver to mention, been a good race for him, actually. We're not, you know, this is a much improved Donovan Parker over round one. So great to see that Beetle up there and doing well as we come now through this first sector. Definitely stands out compared to the other cars, doesn't it?
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, I'm just having a look at some stats here for Donovan Parker. I mean, he has been incredibly impressive in the online events that we've had, of course, having competed. Let's come back to that in a moment, because here comes Kato on the inside of Troncoso, then into the hairpin. Side by side they go. It's Ford versus Lamborghini, and it is the Ford that gets himself ahead, though. So Tatsuhiko Kato is up into 7th position. That was a very authoritative move.
Can I call that in dirt racing? Slide job, that was. He was up the inside, blocked the line, and that's it. Awesome block pass there by Kato. Good to see him also moving up through the foot. Well, that Ford GT, probably the oldest car on the field. That thing came out in the mid-2000s, I think. But great, this is what I actually enjoy about BOP, is it brings all these cars back together. So Benelli in the tow behind Inestrosa. He is a lot closer now, a lot closer. That gap was 1.6 seconds, I think, by the start of the lap. It's now 0.3 of a second. So I think that Inestrosa, I think his tyres are giving up. It's been a great drive by the Chilean, Chilean driver, sorry. Is he Chilean?
He is Chilean.
I forgot for a second, sorry. But it's been a great drive for the Chilean driver, is what I was going to say. But I think now at this point, he's played his hand a little bit too early, and Lucas Benelli in the AMG Mercedes has his number. And he goes defensive, though, to the right-hander. Will he be able to keep the line? Benelli's going to try for the long way around. Not usually a move we see. Is he going to make it work? Oh, wow. Cuts in front of Angel Inestrosa. It's going to be on the outside here, but no, can't quite make it work. I thought he got that done there. That would have been move of the race easily.
It certainly would have been. The thing is, the camber drops off at that first corner, and it's just a little bit too late for Benelli to find his way through there on Inestrosa, but he's now right on the rear wing once again. In your sense, it's probably going to be a move down into the hairpin then for him. Wide there for Inestrosa once again. He's really beginning to struggle, kicking up a bit of dirt there as well. So it's not good for him. And of course, Benelli behind him has the advantage of the slipstream. And just look at how much more confidence he's got under braking and flicking it through into the left, then into the right. He's almost on the gearbox of that Porsche 911 as it stands at the moment. And you sense that Benelli is going to try and find his way through. Inestrosa knows that, goes defensive. Side by side, they run down the hill into the hairpin. Does Benelli have more grip under braking? He certainly does, but he doesn't have the track position to try and use it and make that move stick. As such, Inestrosa keeps his move ahead. But look at this, coming up the top of the hill, Inestrosa parking that car in the middle of the road, through the left, through the right, and Benelli just trying every which way he can. He's got great drive up the top of the hill then, and all the while they've been squabbling. Look who's come to join the party. Ryota Kokeman in the background there. He's in 5th place and is looking to try and get himself onto the podium too.
Yeah, great defensive driving then from Angel Inestrosa, just putting the car in all the right places, but you can't really defend in a straight line, not really. Will Angel go to the inside of the defend? He does. This is going to put him on a bit of a tricky braking zone in here. Comes across to take his line because there was no move made by Benelli. That is fine, you can make that move. And now coming on to the last corner of the circuit, and this is absolutely amazing driving. Angel, of course, out there on tyres that are very worn. Benelli out there on tyres that are a lot fresher, able to make those moves, but not quite able to make them stick. Again, looking back now from the Porsche, Angel going defensive early, Benelli following him, using the toe, coming down a T1, just going to try the outside again. Can he make it work this time? They're side by side on the way in. Angel's going to keep that inside, keep that camber, forces Benelli wide. Now Kokeman's in there as well, so you've got to be very careful now, Lucas. You've got a Mazda there on your outside as well, coming through the stadium. Kokeman's going to try the long way around, going to run out of road there, mate. He does. Benelli keeps it. He's still trying around the outside, Kokeman. You've got to give him a mark for effort there, definitely. And a little bit sideways from Benelli, getting a little bit too enthusiastic on the front. This is a great fight.
This is fantastic. Donovan Parker's ready to come and get involved in this, so it goes from a 3-way to potentially a 4-way scrap, and we've only got 1.5 laps now remaining through the left-hander. This is the battle for 3rd place, and let's not forget the final point in this race as well. Points awarded 3rd, 2nd and 1st in this race, in reverse order to that in terms of how many they will score. Inestrosa currently doing his best in that Porsche 911 to hold on to it, but Benelli's trying to challenge it up the inside. That's a late move there. It was a half-hearted one there as well, because Inestrosa had kind of closed the door. That allows Kokeman to pull alongside on corner exit. Side by side, the Porsche versus the Mazda, up the hill into the Schumacher S. Are they going to go 2 by 2 into there? They certainly are. Kokeman's got more grip on the fresher soft tyres, and now Inestrosa's going right down the order, because here comes Donovan Parker. They're running side by side into the left-hander, so Benelli up into 3rd place. Parker's on the outside there in the Volkswagen Beetle. They're going through the right-hander. Parker on the inside. Inestrosa's wide. He's on the gravel. That's going to allow Parker to come through and into 5th place, surely, but very close racing and very close quarters indeed, and we thought Benelli might have the podium position done, but Ryota Kokeman is doing everything everything he can to try and get himself up into third place here.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. A little bit too rough for my liking, but the stewards, I'm sure, will have a look at it. And I think what happened there is basically where he was biffed wide, the tyres got scrubbed, overheated instantly because of how worn they are, and he just had nothing to defend with. So now it's Benelli and Kokibun for the last spot on the podium. Both of them very experienced and very fast drivers as we come now down towards T1. The AMG's got a bit more grunt than the Mazda, it seems, coming down to the first corner, but Kokibun on the brakes, absolutely superior. Look at that, almost running into the back. In fact, does, I think, run into the back of Benelli. That's been his favourite trick this race for Kokibun, running into the back of the car in front. Parker back in the background, and Keicho through into 6th as well, but Angao is not finished, so still falling down the order, but he's going to fight every step of the way.
Yeah, Kato's just really come alive in the last stages of this one here. I mean, if you're in a Stroza, you've tried as hard as you can, but it's just, unfortunately, just not going to be good enough at this point, really. He's just not got the grip underneath him to try and hold off the charge of everybody else.
No, unfortunately not, but again, a great effort by Angao Stroza. He came from the back of the grid, and he's still +4 on where he started, just went a little bit too early, I think, on that soft compounder tyre. Meanwhile, the fight for third rages on, looking back over the rear spoiler of Lucas Benelli. There's Ryota Kokibun behind, of course, 2019 Tokyo World Tour Series champion there. Very, very fast driver, and of course, Benelli will know that looking in his mirror. Sees Angao Stroza just floundering around out of the Porsche. How he's keeping that on the tarmac, I will not know. It's a testament to the skill of Angao, but unfortunately, I think it's going to be a bit of a futile fight with Kato.
Yeah, certainly so. Up the top of the hill they go, in towards the left-hand. You can see Benelli doing everything he can. He's going to be watching his mirrors because he's got Kokibun really close behind, flicking the brakes as they go through into the right-hander. This is the final sector of the final lap, and up the road and already coming into that final chicane and ready for the final corner is the race leader of Takuma Miyazono, but Benelli going defensive then, and Kokibun's going to go for the outside line. He's going to try a last stand there move into there, but it's not going to be quite enough as Takuma Miyazono comes across the line to win World Series 2 of the 2021 FIA Gran Turismo Championships in the Manufacturers Series. Valerio Gallo for Honda comes home in 2nd position, and Lucas Benelli, by the skin of his teeth, is just going to hold on to 3rd place from Ryota Kokibun's Mazda in 4th, ahead of Donovan Parker, finishing inside the top 5. And miraculously, Angao Stroza does hold on to 6th position.
Definitely my man in the race, Angao Stroza, keeping that car on the straight and narrow of those tyres and coming from the back of the field. Great effort there.
Well, a frantic Manufacturer Series race for round 2. Takuma Miyazono claims the spoils for Subaru ahead of Honda and Mercedes-Benz in 3rd position. What a race from Kokibun and Parker inside the top 5. Very aggressive stuff in the mid-half of the top 10.
I've got to say for Miyazono as well, I know we didn't talk about him much in that race, but that's because he was just off in his own little world. Amazing drive by the Japanese driver, and a reminder why he is a triple champion. Absolutely amazing drive.
And what about Adriano Corazza down there in 8th place? He'll be so disappointed with that. You can see the point standings on your screen there now. It's Subaru who lead the way after World Series 2. 4 points to Team Porsche's 3, ahead of Mazda, and then Honda. Team Mercedes-Benz on the board there with 1 point in 5th position as well.
What an incredible race by Takuma Miyazono representing Team Subaru, and we can speak to him now. So, Takuma, you're top of the manufacturer standings with 4 points. How important will that be when you eventually go into the World Finals?
今リードできているのはすごい嬉しいんですけど、特に今回は車とコースの相性がすごい良かったと思うので、これからまた厳しいレースになる場面も何回かあると思うので、4点リード今あるんですけど、それはあまり気にせずに、これからも引き続き頑張っていこうと思います。
I feel like we're back with kind of classic Miyazono now. I feel like you've got back into your stride. Do you feel that as well?
まず予選でポール取れたところから非常に流れが良かったなっていうふうに思いますし、第一戦は、結果はそこそこ残せたんですけど、決してペース自体は良くなかったので、今回こうやってすごい2位以降と差を広げてゴールできたので、はい、すごい満足してます。
Well, we're very happy too. So thank you ever so much, Takuma Miyazono, for joining us, and we will see you again very, very soon. Right, time to check in with Tom and Jimmy now that they've recovered from that race.
Well, an emphatic Manufacturer Series race. Great for round 2 of the World Series. Let's take a look then, shall we, at some highlights from that one then, because I think we need a minute to sort of work out exactly what happened. Takuma Miyazono led the field over the line, but it was Adriano Corazza who caused some controversy in the first corner.
Yeah, missed the middle pedal a little bit, Adriano, then had to try and fight his way back through. Then that penalty straight away really sort of set the tone to the rest of his race. Very aggressive drive from him, which ultimately led him outside of the points.
Yeah, absolutely right. Then you can see a little bit further on in the race, it was Miyazono who led. Another penalty there for Adriano Corazza. We'll talk more about this a little bit later on. Lucas Bonelli fancied to slide somebody inside, got himself through into third position. Very aggressive move there at the hairpin as he found his way onto the podium positions. Then further back, as we got sort of towards the mid to latter stage of the race, it all kicked off again. And guess who was at the centre of the action? Adriano Corazza and Lucas Bonelli.
Yeah, Corazza showing his fellow countryman off the circuit, which is a little bit naughty by him, but that wouldn't stop Bonelli's charge, trying to get by Angel Enestrosa. Enestrosa, though, defended very well for a car that was on very warm tyres, but unfortunately couldn't quite hold off the charge of Lucas Bonelli as he just chucked one up the inside. A little bit of contact there. The stewards deemed it fair, and Bonelli up into third.
Yeah, nice driving from Lucas Bonelli and Mercedes-Benz. And you can see here as well, Ryo Takoko went in the Mazda, going side by side with Angel Enestrosa. But nobody could stop that man, Takuma Miyazono. What an absolutely brilliant performance. Dominated from lights to flag. He never looked flustered in any way, shape or form, did he?
No, that is what he likes doing. He likes leading from the front, setting his own pace. And I think we didn't really speak about him at all in the race because he was just doing his own thing. He was happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look then, shall we, Adriano Corazza, because he had a tumultuous time out there on track for race number 2 of the World Series. So you can see him biffing into the back of Takuma Miyazono on the brakes into the first corner. That was a little bit naughty, wasn't it? But it kind of set the tone. He sort of bumper cars there, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, same here with Bonelli. A very late move there, almost moved his countryman out of the way. Then, of course, here as well at the chicane, just showed him off the track. And all those little moves in the end just meant that he lost time, had penalties, and he just did a lot worse than I think he should have done today.
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely a weekend of reflection for Adriano Corazza. That's probably the politest way of putting it. Let's take a look, shall we, at Lucas Bonelli, another Brazilian driver who, again, had a bit of a difficult time out there on track. Because of this, he decided to mimic David Coulthard in Australia in 1995 and sent it to the pit wall on the entry, and then had a lot of work to do.
He found a good way to slow the car down quickly, but that's not what you want really in one of these races. And so we had to see a charge back from Bonelli, just absolutely just cutting through the field and to get back to his podium spot there. And that was that final move in Angel Enestrosa. So I think at one point he went down to 8th position and just clawed his way back. So a really determined driver. I think picking up that mistake is difficult. To see him do that was really good to watch.
Great to see Mercedes fighting at the sharp end as well. They've been off the form for a little while now, actually. Let's take a look then, shall we, at our final piece of action. That, of course, goes to Takuma Miyazono. What a drive.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first I'm seeing of any of his driving because he was so far ahead that we just didn't need to cover him. But the bounce back from round 1, I think, was really impressive. And we even got a little rare bit of emotion from... yeah, I understand that, mate. I think he's happy to be back on the top where he thinks he belongs.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to see Takuma Miyazono fighting at the sharp end. Good to see a good display of emotion, and great to see Subaru sitting at the top as well at the end of that race. But what does it mean for the standings then? Well, let's take a look after the Manufacturer Series. It means that Takuma Miyazono and Team Subaru lead the way, 4 points ahead of Team Porsche's 3. Mazda in there as well as Honda, and Mercedes-Benz the last of the point scorers on the board.
Yeah, 5 cars now, 5 manufacturers with points, of course, and 7 without. Still all to play for, of course, but a really strong start for Team Subaru.
Wow, it's going to be hard to beat that Manufacturer Series race for excitement, but, you know, let's have a go. It's time for round 2 of this season's Nations Cup, and if it's anything like round 1, we better get ourselves ready for some more Valerio Gallo magic. Or should I say revenge?
For me, it was a revenge with myself, and not only against the other drivers.
And we go racing then. World Series 1 is underway. Brooks leads the field away from Corazza. They're all going to dart into the slipstream, but look at Valerio Gallo on the right.
The battle ahead with Brooks was not so intentional, but I wanted to make a position more to stay close to Patrick. With him, we had last battle in the last laps, so I was sure that I could fight for the win.
Gallo now goes to the outside of Patrick Blash. I think there's enough of waiting, so Valerio Gallo goes up into the lead, but they are still fighting. Gallo up into first, Blajan second now to come through Curva Grande. 3 cars at the front there, 1 Italian, 1 Hungarian, 1 Canadian.
I had a pleasure with Patrick to battle like that, because it's surely a race that I will still remember.
And here comes Blajan then, side by side they run down towards the first chicane. Blajan's late on the brakes, Gallo's got the inside line, however. Does he have the track position to be able to move it? He's going to squeeze Blajan towards the curve. This is fantastically close between these two. And Gallo versus Blajan then to the line in the Nations Cup World Series. What a fantastic start to the season. And Gallo wins by 0.06 of a second in the Nations Cup ahead of Blajan.
I expect a comeback maybe from Jose Serrano or maybe Baptiste Benoit. The riders I fear the most are Plajan because he's one of the most experts in Gran Turismo.
As we've just seen, Valerio Gallo has set the Nations Cup standard so far, but our other drivers will be fighting to catch him in this. Oh my goodness, yes, it's the KTM X-Bow R. What an eye-catching piece of machinery that is, simply stunning. Tom and Jimmy, what are you looking forward to in today's Nations Cup?
Well, I think we're looking forward to many things, aren't we? I mean, last time we had Mazdas at Monza, this time we've got KTMs in California.
I don't think I could actually say that about stumbling. It's a good job, Tom. I'll give you that.
I mean, it's going to be awesome, isn't it? We love a bit of Nations Cup. It's kind of every man out for themselves, really, and there's a lot on the line with this, and there's a lot of pride at stake for these drivers.
Yeah, exactly. And just go back to the car, the way you drive these things, you just sort of just send them into the corner. So I'm predicting the big sends, especially with the corkscrew as well. Amazing pace to pass.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at last time, we had some great performances from some unexpected stars. This time, though, difference in cars, I wonder if that's going to just make it a little bit more unpredictable in terms of the running orders.
Yeah, some people have different strengths and different weaknesses. Again, it's a bit like manufacturers in that regard, but it's just you. So, yeah, I think we could definitely still have the drivers to look out for.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, without further ado, they're out on track. Let's see how they're getting on.
So then, for round 2 of our Nations Cup, we go all the way to the west coast of the United States of America to the Laguna Seca Raceway. What a circuit this is! Just over 3.6 kilometres in length, split into 3 sectors. And in that middle sector there, Sector 2, we have the famous corkscrew, massive drop there down for our drivers, turn 8 on the track map, of course. And we've got a bit of a treat for you today because we're going to be driving the KTM X-Bow R on sports medium and soft compounder tyres. And with that tyre wear rate sitting at 20 times, these cars are going to be very tricky for our drivers to extract that maximum pace out of. Single lap qualifying going on just now. Let's head over and see who's going to nab pole position.
Baptiste Beauvoir, then, we can look at him and we can say that he's always got strong form. He's always been there and thereabouts, but round 1 wasn't any good at all. He was in the lower half of the top 10. He just really went off the boil in the race. Lucas Benelli, again a driver who had a lot of good pace in round 1 but didn't quite show his potential. I wonder where the driver in the first sector, second sector, has gone the way of Adam Tapai, coming through that final corner now and aiming towards the timing line. What is it going to be for everybody else to beat? Tapai comes to break the beam and he goes to the top of the order, of course.
Baptiste Beauvoir looking quite quick, about 4 tenths quicker than Adam Tapai at this stage of the circuit. And a 1:30.8, very nice.
What about Coque Lopez then? Just under half a second down as he comes over to the timing line. Again, it's a really big spread, this field, which is surprising given it's such a short lap. A 1:31 puts him into 4th position.
And Lucas Benelli now comes across the start-finish line, almost on a flyer. He is actually, nearly. And someone that I really think is owing a win at some point, Yamanaka, finished 12th in round 1. Really quite far off the pace for him, I think we can say. Ryota Kokibun, Japanese driver, we know how fast he can be when he's focused. It seems that you either have very fast Ryota or very slow Ryota, and last time he was P11. So we've got on board then with Valerio Gallo as we begin the climb up towards one of the most famous corners in the world. Through this left-hander, onto the exit there, and now up the hill, up to 5th gear, and now look as we come up towards the corkscrew. It's a 5.5-storey drop miss, and we're going to get an onboard view of it with Valerio Gallo over the crest and then down the hill there. Such an awesome bit of circuit, very well navigated by Valerio.
Andrew Brooks has dropped time in the second and third sectors. He aims towards the timing line, goes to the head of the second row provisionally for now for the North American driver, but it's Tomoyuki Yamanaka, the Japanese driver, the man on a charge, just 24 hundredths of a second down as he comes towards the line, and he goes to pole then, a 1:30.725. Very impressive stuff from Yamanaka. He lights up the timing screens.
Yeah, very nice from Yamanaka there. Not so nice, unfortunately, from Jose Serrano. Big mistake somewhere in the circuit. He'll be down the bottom of the field, I imagine. Yep, 32.7, not anything to really talk about. The Japanese drivers are on fire right now. Ryota Kokibun also up on Yamanaka. When he go pole, he messes the last corner down to 4th position, but still, that's only a 1/10 off the lead.
What about Valerio Gallo, though? He's on an absolute charge, aims towards the line, goes second quickest, just misses out. That must have been a stonking final corner then from Tomoyuki Yamanaka. Takuma Miyazono, the third of the Japanese drivers, aims towards the line, only 6th quickest for the reigning champ. Let's take a look then at the results from qualifying for the Nations Cup, and a surprise pole position from Tomoyuki Yamanaka, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, he's quick, but I didn't think we'd see him on pole position. But just to add to how great that session was. Look at the top 5, separated by only a 10th of a second. Mad close at the top.
Yeah, absolutely. All drivers separated by less than 2 seconds. Difficult day at the office for Angel in Estroza down there, of course, having had that lap time disallowed following exceeding track limits as well.
Yeah, and Coque Lopez, I said I put money in being up the top, and he came 11th, so I guess I've lost some money.
Not for the first time. Anyway, that's how the results sit after qualifying then. Let's get ready to go racing.
Thanks, guys. A brilliant lap there by Tomoaki Yamanaka of Japan to secure pole position for our nation's Cup race. But what's the secret to winning races at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca? Well, Tom, Jimmy, do enlighten us.
Oh, we love Laguna, don't we? You can't go wrong with a bit of Laguna Seca.
No, I don't think so. I mean, one of the most recognisable American circuits. So I have to admit, I don't think I've actually won a race here, so maybe I can't do the enlightening.
I've actually been there, and I've got to be honest. You know, the elevation changes, the big talking point of this circuit. It's even like more dramatic in real life. You just think you're coming up to the top of the corkscrew. It's like the world's going to end here. It's unbelievable.
Absolutely mad. I mean, from I think it's T2 up to the corkscrew, 55-metre elevation change. It's mad. A massive run up from T6 up to the top of the corkscrew up the top here. And this is where you see a lot of overtaking moves as well. You think, oh, maybe I should take it easy for it. It's already crazy enough. No, people send it up the inside there, and you find yourself hurtling downhill side by side with another guy next to you. It's awesome to watch. It's awesome to commentate on too.
Yeah, and 5.5 stories that drop from T8 all the way down to the bottom of what they call turn 8A. It's technically turn 9. In 450 metres of circuit. It just doesn't get any better than that, does it?
I want to meet the guy who designed that one. Yeah, this is fine.
Yeah, and that is the reason why we love Laguna.
Well, the second Nations Cup race of the season is almost upon us. There's just enough time to remind you that the Gran Turismo YouTube channel has an amazing variety of content for you to enjoy. But not until after you've watched this race, of course. Let's join Tom and Jimmy for all the action.
The grid then is lined up for the Nations Cup race for round 2 of the World Series of the FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships. And here is how the competitors are on the grid. It's Tomoaki Yamanaka who starts from pole position for Japan, with the Italian Valerio Gallo for company alongside him. Next up on the grid is Baptiste Beauvoir. The Frenchman will be hoping for a better run in round 2 compared to round number 1. He's got Lucas Bonelli, the Brazilian driver, for company. We just saw him doing great things in the Manufacturer Series. Next row of the grid is headed by Ryota Kokubun, the Japanese driver, with his compatriot Takuma Miyazono for company alongside. Next row of the grid is Andrew Brooks in 7th position for Canada. And then 8th place is the Hungarian Patrick Blajan, who again featured very strongly in that first round about a month ago. Giorgio Mangano lines up P9 for Italy. And then next up on the grid, it is Adam Tapai, the second of our Hungarian drivers on the grid. Just outside the top 10 was the Spaniard Coque Lopez. Really tricky qualifying for him. He'll be hoping to move forward when the race gets underway, with Adriano Carrazza for company alongside. And then the final row of the grid is Jose Serrano in 13th position for Spain. And 14th and last is Angel in Estroza. A really difficult qualifying for him. Again, a very promising Manufacturer Series race. So 20 laps for our drivers. Tyre strategies to take into consideration here as well, with the soft and the medium compound of tyres available. What is going to happen when the lights go out and we get racing underway then here at Laguna Seca? So round 2 of the World Series for the 2021 FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships is about to go green. Tomoaki Yamanaka on pole position, Valerio Gallo for company alongside him. The revs are rising, tension is in the air as we get ready and go green and go racing. Yamanaka gets away well, Gallo pulls alongside. Look at Baptiste Beauvoir and also Ryota Kokubun trying to go around the outside there as they come over the crest of the hill through turn 1 on the brakes, and into turn 2 is where we'll see the moves being made. Yamanaka's in the middle, Beauvoir's on the outside. Gallo leads the field through through, but Beauvoir's trying to hold it around the outside for second place. Benelli on the outside of Miyazono for 5th position there. They all just about managed to make it through the first corner without any contact, but it's Gallo from Yamanaka from Beauvoir as they come through turn 3.
Yeah, got a little bit feisty there at the first couple of corners, but now a single file as Gallo takes the lead away from Yamanaka. That's important. He does that early. Now he can try and build a gap. That's what will be in his mind. We're on board now at Baptiste Beauvoir, the lead 2 in front of us. Behind us, Kokubun, as we make our climb up the hill for the first time towards the world-famous corkscrew. A little bit sideways there is Baptiste. His car's far from being planted. We're on a road compound of tyre here, a sport compound of tyres. So a lot more slip, a lot less grip, a lot more action for us to commentate on.
You can see Baptiste Beauvoir go wide out of turn 7. That's going to allow Kokubun then to close right up as they come on the brakes into turn number 8. Here's Miyazono sending it down the inside of his compatriot into the left-hander of turn 8, then down the hill into turn 8A as it's known, but Miyazono's not able to get ahead of Kokubun on this occasion. Now Benelli's coming into play as they come through Rainey's of turn number 9, really close indeed at the front as well, because Yamanaka is all over the back of Valerio Gallo through the right-hander. They're going to flick it left into turn 11 into the final corner. Gallo goes defensive. That's going to compromise his exit. Yamanaka's on the outside line there, but does he have the room to make a move? Not quite through there, but coming towards the end of lap 1, Gallo looking a bit on the back foot.
Yeah, lap 1 of a 20 lap race. Let's remind us, these guys going hard, going early. Right now it's Gallo and Yamanaka who are squabbling over the lead positions, both wide there as well. Of course, going forward now with Yamanaka, who was our pole sitter, but overtaken straight away. Gallo wide at T1 there. Yamanaka tries to sneak in underneath. Gallo's going to have the easier line, but over the gravel on the right. He's picked up loads of gravel on those right-hand side of his tyres now, so he's going to have a bit of a tricky time for his right-hander. He does nail, bunch up once again. Beauvoir now is on the back as well. So they're riding that curb on the left to try and have the easiest line possible into the right-hander, and Yamanaka in front slowing up Beauvoir. Nowhere to go there. Single file through there.
Did you see the indicator there for Tomoyuki Yamanaka? I wonder whether that was an indication of it. But anyway, very interesting at the front. It always gets a little bit frantic. Now, the top 6 competitors are on the softer compound of tyre. They're the faster compounds. You should expect them to break away from the medium shop runners, from Patrick Blajan down to Jose Torano in 7th, down to 14th position. But, of course, there's not that much in terms of a straight line here at this circuit as well. It's a really busy track, this Laguna Seca circuit. So they are still bunched up as it stands on lap 2 so far, but it's Gallo that leads the way. He's just about settled himself down now and isn't under any immediate threat from Yamanaka so far.
And you say that, of course, but you always fancy Yamanaka to pull off a big old aggressive move. He's sort of known for that in our GT community. Here is Lucas Benelli, the first of our Brazilian drivers currently on the circuit. 6th place at the moment. Oh, looking for a bit of a look upside Miyazono, who gets it all sorts of wrong coming into the right-hander. Good move for Benelli, very opportunistic. Want to be able to hold it down into T1 over the kind of straight, and there you go, he's got the move made. Will Miyazono retaliate though, coming down the hill towards T2? Let's have a look. No, knows his place, so to speak, stays in the 6th place.
Exactly, sensible stuff there from Lucas Benelli, keeping it on the straight and narrow as he should be doing. And Takuma Miyazono also following suit, a little bit wide there out of turn number 2. Very easy to do that because, of course, you're putting the power on the front's washing wide. These sports tyres that the drivers are using, of course, do not offer the same levels of grip as the racing compound, so they're a little bit more slidey, and that's why you're seeing the cars move around a lot more. And it'll be interesting to see how that plays out later on in the race, especially as these tyres get warm, because there's a lot of movement and they're pretty fresh at the moment.
Yeah, it's the quickest way to drive one of these cars if there's a little bit of slip. You want to be sliding it a little bit through the corners, not a lot, but of course you have to. It's risk versus reward. You slide too much and you end up just cooking those tyres, as you say, Tom. So it's all about just knowing the car and knowing how much slip you can put into that tyre before it starts breaking away. As we now again look back from Valerio Gallo. Great view here and get an idea of just how deep this drop is down the course. Look at that elevation there, absolutely mad. It's like falling off a cliff every lap. But these guys, you know, some of the best drivers in the world, as I always like to say, and they expertly make their way through there. Here's Patrick Blajan, he's the lead of our medium runners. This is interesting, of course. So you'll see on the column there on the left-hand side, the S and the M, that's softer mediums, of course. And the mediums, these are the lead runners on the alternate strategy. So don't worry too much, they're not at the top there with the soft compound runners, but something to definitely keep an eye out on. Here's a replay of a start, by the way. We're on board with Takuma Miyazono. Let's see what happens here. I think it's just, yeah, a little bit slow to get away there. Look at Kokubun. Great rocket start on the right, but nowhere ready to go. Yeah, good launch initially there from Kokubun on the right-hand side, as you said, but look at him there, trying to find his way through on the inside of Benelli. Here's Miyazono down the inside of Benelli as well. All Constantine did it up there, didn't it? I think Benelli was a little bit late on the
brakes, a bit unsighted with Miyazono coming up his inside as well.
I mean, a little bit early on the brakes there. I think Miyazono just went, actually, no, I'm going to use you as a brake. And usually it's something that our stewards don't really like too much. We see they're still fighting here at the moment. But yeah, interesting start there.
Somebody off the background, sorry, at turn 3. I think that was Serrano getting it wrong, going into that third corner. That's why he's a second off the back of Adam Tapai down in 14th position. So not ideal start there for Serrano. Difficult qualifying, and a shocker of a race start then as well.
Yeah, it's not been really, this World Series has not really shown Serrano's talent, I don't think, so far, but it is what it is. It has to be that way. There are tyre strategies, nice and easy, 10 and 10 we think, but that probably is not what's going to happen. I'm sure we'll see people try and run a little bit longer on that softer compounder tyre. We had quite an intense tyre wear rate for this race. I think it's times 20 or something like that. I'll look at my document and tell you in a second, but the point being that these tyres really do fall off quite quickly. Pretty much every lap you have is a different adventure on that tyre.
Yeah, absolutely right. So looking here at Tomoyuki Yamanaka, still keeping Valerio Gallo very honest, and you can see the top 6 have really broken away from Patrick Blajan, who's on the medium tyres in 7th position. Out of the final corner then of turn 11, over the crest of the hill they go. This is the longest straight on the circuit, and as you can see, it's really not straight at all, so there's not much in terms of a slipstream here at this track, but then again, these drivers are going to be sending it down into turn 2, you would imagine. I'm actually going to contradict myself a little bit there, because I was saying about the slipstream not being that effective, but Gallo doesn't have it, Yamanaka does, and he was really close as they went onto the brakes into T2.
Yeah, tell you what, these Michelin tyres are having a bit of a hard time, and these cars getting really worked hard by these crossbows. I was right, by the way. Very rare occasions I'm going to enjoy it. It is times 20 tyre wear around here, so for every lap you do, it's 20 laps worth of wear on the tyre. So I think it's always very interesting to see how the race develops. Andrew Brooks at the moment. Someone else who we always say we expect good things from, but we never really seem to get them for some reason. Either something happens in a race, or maybe there's a mistake made somewhere. I think off pace, he's one of the fastest drivers in this field, but we don't really ever get to see that. Here's Adriano Carrazza. Tell you what, had a horrible time in round 1 in the Nations last time, a horrible time in manufacturers just before. He's not had a good run of things today, Adriano. Let's see if he can improve as he come up towards the course. Before he's going to go for a look there, actually. Oh, Brooks has gone a little bit late on the brakes there. Just about made the apex. I'm impressed he got that there to the apex. I thought he was sailing off.
He managed to hook it up, didn't he, as he came into the corner just over the curve, and that was, I think, his saving grace there, really, because it's so easy to just go a little bit deeper. When you can't see where the corner goes, how on earth do you judge your braking zone, especially when you're keeping an eye on your mirrors full of Adriano Carrazza?
Skill.
And a bit of luck.
Yeah, skill and knowing where you're going, of course. These guys, this isn't their first lap round here, I tell you that. These guys will know the circuit back to front, as they do all the circuits in GT Sport, numerous as they are. Again, we're still with Carrazza and Brooks. Carrazza really pressuring now the Canadian driver. We know how aggressive Carrazza is. He goes off through the white line there, actually take the move. He's on the inside, and there's a penalty here. Not surprising there. 0.5 a second penalty there, because he went outside of track limits to overtake. That's a big no-no. So whilst he is by on the circuit, he will have to concede that position when the 0.5 second penalty takes hold when we come up to the penalty zone.
Yeah, just coming up to that penalty zone there as well, through turn 3. So he's going to drop back behind Andrew Brooks. He'll have to keep a watchful eye on his mirrors, because Giorgio Mangano, who's in 10th position, is not too far away, getting it really slidey through that right-hander then as well. That won't help him too much. Going to serve that penalty, moves off the racing line. Very sensible there from Carrazza. Moves back in. Brooks is on the outside then as they flick it into the left-hander. Carrazza has the inside line. Going to not give Brooks much room through there, you can guarantee it, and indeed he doesn't. So Carrazza does just hold on to 8th place there. Good strategic positioning there. Moves off the racing line, held the inside line, holds on for now at least to 8th position, but they're coming up the climb out of turn 7, up the hill in towards that corkscrew of turn number 8. Brooks, I don't think is going to be close enough to mount a challenge at the moment, but certainly Carrazza just looking a bit scrappy, as we saw in that Manufacturer Series race.
A bit frustrating for Brooks. I think he made a mistake after Carrazza got the penalty initially, which meant that even though the pass technically not really on from Carrazza, even the penalty wasn't close enough to get that by again. So a bit of a disaster there for Brooks, but now Carrazza can try and catch Blajan, sorry. He's got about 2 seconds on this. There he is, just in the forefront of your picture. In the background, Adam Tapai, I think our first pitter of the race, going to that soft tyre very early, very early.
Yeah, I wonder what the strategy then is there. He's going to try and undercut everybody, presumably, get himself out in some clean air, because he was right down towards the back of the field there to Pai anyway, and try and get himself running in some clean air on the quicker compacted tyre. But they are going to be shot to pieces by the end of the race at this stage.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've seen similar strategies in the Manufacturer Series. Angel Enestrosa attempted in his Porsche to do that, and well, it didn't quite go as well for him. Speaking of Angel, doesn't see where he is in the standings right now, but he did not have a qualifying time. And he's now P12, so he is making his way slowly, but he is caught in the pack. So, meanwhile, back at the front, Tomoyuki Yamanaka following Valerio Gallo. as he has been for most of this race. Starting on pole, but got jumped right at the very start. This is probably the best seat in the house here as we come up the hill. Again, slide it into that left hand. You can see how much slip there is in these tyres. That's how you drive it quick, almost like driving an old school F1 car, the way these things glide about. Then we come over the crest of the hill. You've got to brake before the crest here. Very easy to get a bit enthusiastic and brake after the crest, and because the crest is slightly uphill, it slows you down. But if you go past it, it's downhill, and your braking zone just increases what feels like exponentially. Then we go through Rainey's curve. On the curve on the inside, very nice. Let it drift out to the right. Great shot there, watching the Michelin tyres in action through this right hand, and now coming up to the last corner of the circuit. Great place to overtake if you're close enough. Yamanaka isn't quite close enough this time around, but sort of get the feeling he's maybe sizing something up.
You can feel the tension sort of in the air with these top six. I mean, they're running nose to tail as it stands at the moment. It's like a big snake sort of going along the circuit as it stands. It's interesting to see how they're all sort of soaking up the pressure. I mean, if you're Valerio Gallo, you're leading the race at the moment, not by a particularly big margin, but still leading the race. How on earth do you deal with that constant pressure from behind to not make a mistake?
Now, I found with Gallo that he likes to lead. If he's in the lead, he's all right. He just chills out, does his own little thing. When people start going for the overtakes, people start pressuring him. That's when we might see him crack. We've seen that in the past. We might see it again. So just keep an eye out for that. And of course, don't discount this man, Baptiste Beauvoir. We know how fast he is. Very fast is the Frenchman. Ninth in round one, I think, isn't really representative of what we expect from him. And he's always there, always waiting. Even the slightest mistake, I can guarantee you he will be chucking out the inside, trying to take a position or two.
I was chatting to some of the stewards a little bit earlier on today. I said, what's the pit stop loss time here? They said about 20 seconds. It's a long time. So I'm just keeping a watchful eye on Adam Tapai, who's on the soft combat of tyres. He's got 17 seconds to the back of Jose Serrano at the moment. But I wonder whether that could be a particularly interesting strategy when everybody else pits, because he's a bit out of sequence at the moment. Sure, his tyres are going to be a bit worn towards the end, but if he can set some quick lap times whilst he's in that clear air, he could be in for a really promising finish. He could get himself inside the top 10.
Well, because of the nature of his car, they drift around a lot. It's actually quite hard to set up a move because the line is to drift out wide a lot of the time and use all of the circuit. It's not easy to chuck it out the inside. Now, here we go. So first to blink is Valerio Gallo. He comes into the pit lane for that medium compound tyre again. Earlier than I thought, and he didn't really need to do that because he's leading this little bunch of cars. So that's a bit of a confusing one for me. I was trying to stay out and keep that tyre working a bit longer, but maybe he's really been working it. Maybe he's starting to feel it fall away. I don't know, but I can't help but think that's maybe a bit too early for the medium.
I was going to say, the advantage is the medium, of course, tyre will last that little bit longer, but it's a bit of a moot point when everybody else around you is going to be on fresher mediums. They're going to be quicker towards the end of the race, and given the small advantage that he had, it does seem like a very relatively strange strategy. Comes out of the pit lane then. Where is he going to emerge in relation to the rest of the field? Lopez and Serrano also in. They're on the medium tyres. They're going on to the softs, respectively. Fuel shouldn't be a factor in this race, just to warn you. We're already at the halfway stage, near enough, in this one. And it is Valerio Gallo that comes out of the pit lane then. He emerges from this race in 11th position. He's got 7 seconds to Angel Nostroza, so he can just run his own race for now.
Yeah, for now. Just keep it in your head, you know. That's the whole thing, is just keep your own race and your own strategy. Keep that at the forefront of your mind. Don't really pay attention to what those are doing around you, otherwise you might end up making a bit of a mistake. So Yamanaka now, I should say, sorry, has a little bit of a gap because Gallo obviously has sort of left the fray for now. 8 tenths, 9 tenths of a second to Baptiste Beauvoir. This is Beauvoir's time to sort of try and close that gap a little bit and then move on to the back. Here's Takuma Miyazono. He's involved as well. Don't forget about Takuma. He's always there in the background, really. Someone you can never discount, Takuma Miyazono. Right now running in 5th position, but again, all it takes is one little invite and he'll be way back up the order again. Oh, Kokobu into the pits as well.
Late on the brakes there for Miyazono. It's not the first time we've seen that in this race as well. He's had a couple of late out-braking manoeuvres. He's just kind of got onto the anchors a little bit too late and made a bit of a hash of the corner. And it was the same corner where he did it earlier on in the race. So I wonder whether he's just pushing that a little bit too hard, because those tyres are, of course, getting more and more worn as this race goes on. 20 times tyre wear. I mean, they're going to be very second-hand, those soft tyres by now.
They are a bit more recoverable in that situation than the racing tyre is. If you do have a sort of lock-up or late brake scenario, you can kind of come back from it, but it does depend on where you're placing the car on the circuit. Now, into the pit lane is Patrick Blacher. Now, he was leading the second pack, so to speak, on the medium compounder tyre for a long time. So he comes onto the soft now. I'm interested to see what he'll do, because he's in, again, the leader of the alternate strategy, so to speak. So keep an eye on Patrick.
Yeah, absolutely. Finished second, of course, in the first World Series event in round 1, and was very impressive, of course, as a result of that, given that he's got 2 World Tour points as it stands so far. Keen to see how Blajan is going to fare. There's Lucas Bonelli in 3rd position, getting a little bit slidey through turn 7. Yeah, getting that car rotated very nicely indeed. And Bonelli had a bit of a quiet race. We've hardly mentioned him over the course of this one, but he's just been been sat there in 4th position, now into 3rd place as a result of Gallo doing that earlier pit stop. Just keeping himself quiet, keeping his nose clean and running a good race. Maybe he'll be able to pounce a little bit later on.
Possibly. Again, someone else who, I mean, everyone in this field is a winner. Think of it this way, you know, that's how close it is between all these guys. All it takes is something like that. Baptiste Beauvoir, he decides, oh, all right, I'll go to the pit lane then. All right, I guess I'm going out there. Well, a bit, I don't think he actually was going to go into the pit lane there, but I think when you do go offline like that and you pick up the gravel, you do sort of ruin the tyres for the next couple of corners. So that's actually a pretty wise choice there from Baptiste to get that done now. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to keep a close eye on the lap times and the sector times here, because Valerio Gallo, of course, is on the medium competitive tyre, but he's been in clear air for the time being. Now, the gap between himself and Tomoyuki Yamanaka just sits at just over 20 seconds as it is. Now, it's a 20-second pit loss time there and thereabouts. It's going to be really close between them if it stays like that, if Yamanaka pits on the next lap. I watched Baptiste Beauvoir because they were pretty much side by side or close to each other when they when Gallo pitted. Baptiste was just behind those two, so here comes Gallo down towards T2. T1's a little kink just beforehand. Gallo's ahead, yeah. I think he is. Let's have a look coming out the pit lane. Guido's a bit tighter on the pit lane. There is Beauvoir, so he is ahead for now, so that has worked out for Valerio Gallo. He maintains the lead out of the guys behind him, but will Yamanaka and Benelli be behind him after their stops? So we have to wait and see. Not worked out for Takuma Miyazono. He's dropped behind Beauvoir and Kokubun then now as well, so that's not ideal because, of course, those drivers in front have now made their stop. Miyazono sitting in 6th position. He's lost a bit of time as a result of that pit stop. It could be interesting to see how that plays out here as well. I don't think he's actually lost much. I don't think he's not gained anything. I think he's just exactly where he was, basically. So, like, oh, okay, well, that was pointless. So, back to where it goes now. Now, Yamanaka is someone who needs to be pushing right now, as does Lucas Benelli. Yamanaka is pulling away very slightly from Benelli in 2nd place. The gap's about 2 seconds now. And then we go back, of course, to Valerio Gallo, who's now coming down to the caution right. Yamanaka in the pit lane. Let's see if Gallo has done enough with that undercut onto the medium tyre to try and get into the lead. Of course, those medium tyres are going to be very, very second-hand. Oh, I thought he was a bit tight going over the top. I thought he was out of cut. No, probably not. 1 second penalty. That's not what he needs right now. Not ideal at all there for Valerio Gallo. He was the fastest man out of that top 6 battle as well last time around. He was about half a second quicker than Lucas Benelli, who's just come into the pit lane then as well. But where are the rest of the field going to emerge? Pit stop time then for Tomoyuki Yamanaka, the race leader. Valerio Gallo goes over the line and he is going to inherit this race lead then by the looks of things, because Yamanaka, I should say, is just coming out of the pit lane there. It's going to be pretty tight between them because, of course, it's a shorter run on the pit lane exit. It's a bit of a moot point because, of course, Gallo has got that penalty to serve. Really close on pit exit there. Gallo is just going to get the lead, but he's going to have to relinquish it in just a few moments' time because he's about to serve that 1 second penalty. I'll tell you what, Yamanaka would have went from, oh, damn, I didn't quite get the move, to, oh, he's got a penalty in his head, and that'll be all right, okay, this is mine now. Look in the background there as well. Benelli, Kokubun and Beauvoir going side by side. That was nearly a 3-wide moment through the 3rd corner. And Gallo's about to serve that penalty. That's going to allow Yamanaka to go through. Where's he go? Oh, that was messy. That was messy from Gallo. He didn't move off the racing line there, did he? I don't know if that's all right or not. That was quite rocky for me. We'll see what the stewards say, but that was a little bit naughty, I think, from Valerio Gallo. Yamanaka, I think, might be thinking the same thing on board, but that's not for us to decide, thankfully. We'll go on board with Yamanaka, who will have the fresher tyre. At least he'll know that at this point. Thinking, well, you know what, even if that's happened, my tyre's going to be better towards the end. Let's just wait, bide your time. I'm not under pressure right now from Baptiste Beauvoir, who's behind me. I've got a guy in front of me with worse tyres than me. All I've got to do is be nice and chill, and Gallo getting a bit sideways coming out of the rainy curve there, just about gathering it back up again as we come now into the second to last corner, into the hairpin. Yamanaka's got a bit of a run here, not quite close enough this time. Man on the move at the moment, Patrick Blajan. He has been absolutely lightning fast on those soft competitive tyres. That gap between himself and Takuma Miyazono was 5-6 seconds before they came in for the pit stops. It's now down to 3.3. We've got 7 laps now remaining. Patrick Blajan is looking very, very quick indeed out on that track. He's significantly faster than the medium runners in front of him, to the surprise of nobody. But of course, those soft tyres are going to degrade quicker, so it's a bit of an interesting one to see how this is going to work out here, but he's looking pretty quick out there, Blajan, at the moment. I'd be interested to see if he can cut through the pack. Here's Miyazono. I was wondering if we could look back from this really to see if we could see where Blajan is, but Blajan is quicker, but he's got to get through all these guys if he wants to go for a... Well, that's basically where he is now. He has a pace to be quicker than the leaders, but can you get by them? That's going to be the question that we are going to see answered, hopefully, in the next few laps' time. Here's Miyazono still on board. Benelli in front as well, so you're just getting a little bit wide, kicking up a dust. These guys keep doing that. You keep putting dirt on those tyres, they're going to get worse and worse and worse. And get to the next corner, it's going to be very, very slidey.
Sorry, I just saw the sideways. I thought he was going to go off into the gravel then at turn 7. Managed to keep it on the straight and narrow, but that was really on the ragged edge of adhesion there for Miyazono.
That's just a line through there. That's what they do, they just chuck it through. It's great to watch, definitely. Very nice and sideways. Four-wheel drifts, as you would say. Still watching Miyazono now to come down the hill. Things have calmed down a little bit. We've got a replay. What's this? This is coming out the pit lane with Benelli, I believe. He's come out the pit lane. There's Gallo and Yamanaka. So what's going on here then?
I think this was just... is this what happened here with Beauvoir and Benelli then? These were really close in the background. I mentioned about it briefly. There was Beauvoir on the inside of Benelli. Benelli running onto the gravel on the outside. There goes Kokeman on the inside. Oh, Benelli just came back on. He had a snap of oversteer there. That allowed Kokeman to go through. So Benelli losing 2 positions in the space of 1 corner.
Just cold tyres there. Went into the corner as fast as he usually would. Got into the dirty line. The car did not want it. You see they were still fighting coming down the bottom here. But I think Benelli just about held the position for now. Just because Miyazono had to get off the throttle to avoid going into the back of him. So, yeah, not an ideal outlap there for Benelli, but I'm sure he'll look to get that place back as soon as he can. Oh, my word, Kokeman in front. I wonder why we're staying with this replay as well. They're still fighting up towards the hill, blooming hell. Yeah, really close indeed there. Kokeman just about keeping it on the straight and narrow there, in towards the left-hander of the corkscrew, then down that 5.5-storey drop. I mean, yeah, you can see on board there, Miyazono just keeping it on the straight and narrow, but it's getting pretty frantic there. I was saying about Patrick Blajan a few moments ago. That gap has now come down to 2.2 seconds to the back of Takuma Miyazono. Once he gets onto the back of those guys, he's not far away from the battle for the lead here. Yamanaka, meanwhile, is on the back of Valerio Gallo coming up the top of the hill into the corkscrew. He's not able to find his way past, but those fresher medium tyres are really coming into their own now for Yamanaka. You sense it's going to be a case of when and not if. I look tight again from Gallo. I wonder if that was another penalty or not. I think he just got away with it. He was right on the edge of what I would consider to be a penalty through there. And yeah, I think Gallo really at the moment, I think Yamanaka can taste blood in the water at the moment. Gallo's struggling. You can see it right on the brakes, just almost run into the back of him. Gallo really not able to get the same braking performance out of the crossbow as Yamanaka is. Now you've got the toe all the way down towards T1, and we are close. We are close to Valerio Gallo in front. Will Yamanaka go for a lunge into the first corner? Now's a good time to do so. Gallo goes defensive, drives down the middle of the circuit as he is entitled to do, leaves Yamanaka only the long way around to try and get around, and this car no downforce, so it's kind of hard to do that, and stays in the lead for now, does Valerio Gallo. But all this fighting means Baptiste Beauvoir is going to get closer and closer, and of course the guys behind, Kokeman, Benelli, Miyazono and Blajan, as you say, Tom, who's now only a second off the back of Miyazono. 4.5 laps now remain here for round 2 of the World Series in the 2021 FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships in this Nations Cup race, and it's anybody's guess. Patrick Blajan looking like he is going to be a man on the move before too long. Sitting in 6th place, the gap now down to a second between himself and Takuma Miyazono. We're right on board with the race leader though, Valerio Gallo, up the top of the hill in towards turn 7. This is where Yamanaka got great drive out of there last time. Gallo knows that, pulls it for a tighter line as they come up the top of the hill, trying to break that toe of Yamanaka. Not quite able to find his way through, but look at how much more confidence under braking Yamanaka's got. He's almost up the rear exhaust pipe there of Gallo. And it's really interesting to see how this is going to play out here, because Yamanaka, he's got to strike at some point, because if he doesn't, he's going to have Baptiste Beauvoir right up his chuff. Yeah, he's just been pushing Gallo through the corners there, basically, saying, "Come on, mate, hurry up, I'm quicker than you," and Gallo knows it as well. Again, last corner, Yamanaka not quite close enough. In the mirrors, though, big in the mirrors now, is Baptiste Beauvoir in that blue-covered French livery of the crossbow. There he is. So we've now developed into a three-way fight for the lead, and I wonder who's going to blink first. Again, Yamanaka looking to the outside. Gallo, as we've seen him, goes into the middle of the circuit. Yamanaka's going to try the long way around. I'm not sure he's going to quite get that done. Oh, Willie, he's got a good drive out the corner. Oh, Gallo, awesome defence there. Slides the car out in front of Yamanaka. Just nailed the throttle there. Gave Yamanaka nowhere to go. Oh, onto the gravel there. Just about gathers it back up. That's what happens when you brake with your rear left wheel on the gravel. And Gallo slow on the inside. Yamanaka's going to drive it all the way around. And Baptiste Beauvoir is there too. He might get 2 for 1 here. Gallo there in the middle. Baptiste Beauvoir on the right, forced onto the gravel. And I think Gallo might hold it. Beauvoir still there. Wow. Okay, so Yamanaka came out worse there, but no, he comes back at the Frenchman. All action now, Tom. Very close indeed. Up the top of the hill in towards turn number 7 we go. Yamanaka's going to be on the inside of Beauvoir here. Brakes late as the Japanese driver goes through into 3rd place. Nicely done there. So Gallo somehow leads the way, and amazingly, it started in this
formation at the start of this lap, and it continues in this formation in the middle part of it. Given what was happening in the first few corners, I didn't think we'd be quite saying that. Whilst they're squabbling, it's allowing Lucas Benelli to close back up. Patrick Blajan has disposed of Ryota Kokubun then into 5th position for the Hungarian driver, so he is beginning to make his moves and is going to be on the back of these guys. There he is, you can just see him in the background in 5th position, and he is going to be closing on those soft tyres, the quicker tyres at the end of this race.
Yeah, Patrick Blajan is looking more and more like a real contender for this race now. There he is, right in the back of the pack now, so he can see the leader, and that's always a nice psychological boost when you're out there and you're chasing him. Right, I can see him, I'm faster than him, I'm going to go and get him. So we'll keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, Yamanaka and Gallo, all this fighting, as you say, Tom, it just pushes this bunch of people closer together. Yamanaka going to try and get the undercut there, switch back on Gallo, very nice. Yamanaka there finally gets Valerio Gallo after laps of trying. Gallo now is under attack from Baptiste Beauvoir, having to defend there. A bit deep into the corner, parks are on the apex though, and now Beauvoir has the inside line. Surely now Gallo, those tyres have gone. He's just trying to defend for his life. He's not going to be able to do it. Beauvoir got the Gallo onto the grass. Oh, he's sideways, back on. Oh, just about avoids the drivers there, but that allows Benelli up into 3rd and Blajan up into 4th. Blajan 3rd.
Oh, so close on the curb on the inside there. That's going to compromise his drive, Blajan. He somehow manages to get himself ahead of Lucas Benelli. It's all action stations then with 2.5 laps to go. Benelli versus Gallo side by side for 4th position. Gallo on the outside, sideways and onto the gravel. It's all over for Valerio Gallo. That's a disaster for the Italian driver as Miyazono and Carazza now come through as they come up the hill into turn 7. What a shame for Valerio Gallo. That's real hero to zero stuff. The winner of round 1 earlier on this year, and now he's falling right down the order.
The Blajan now up into P2. He has only one other car in front of him, and it's Yamanaka, the pole sitter. 1.4 seconds. What a return this has been for Patrick Blajan. Been flying up the order. There's Valerio Gallo, who's just still struggling. And Andrew Brooks. Oh, Brooks. It's always Andrew Brooks, isn't it, having a moment whenever we look there. Bless him. But the man I'm more interested in is a Hungarian. He's already gained 3 tenths on Yamanaka just from the last time we looked at him. I think he can win this race, Tom.
I think he's got this one absolutely sewn up, to be honest with you, because he's got more grip underneath him, he's got more pace, he's got a little bit of clean air in front of him as it stands now, and I'm really rooting for Patrick Blajan here because he's had such a shocker over the last couple of years. He's always been a guy who's been there and thereabouts, but we've seen him at World Tour events in previous years, and he just sort of falls to pieces, really. But now, at the moment, he seems to just be enjoying himself out there, driving as good as we've ever seen Paddy Blajan.
I think a renewed Blajan, I think is what we have here. It's a reminder, of course, in the round 1, he actually came 2nd as well, so he's a real contender this year in the World Series and Nations Cup, and someone I think who's about time for it to come good. He's not quite there yet though. 9 tenths of a second to Yamanaka, and we know Yamanaka's going to be defending with his life. We know exactly his driving style, so looking forward to seeing fireworks when he catches his Carazza. The 2 Brazilians together on track. He's also on that soft compounder tyre, so he's done pretty well to drag that car back up there again. Will he be able to catch Benelli and Beauvoir though? I think he might. We might have a similar situation a bit further down. Baptiste Beauvoir again now I think also struggling on this tyre, starting to go backwards a little bit.
Yeah, Beauvoir doesn't seem to have the pace, as you say there, Jimmy, so let's keep an eye out for him, because in his mirrors he has got the 2 Brazilians of Lucas Benelli and Adriano Carazza then, so coming through into the final corner of turn 11, ready to complete the 18th lap. We're on the penultimate one, or about to start it very shortly indeed, and you sense that Tomoyuki Yamanaka is going to be a bit of a sitting duck against Patrick Blajan's pace. The gap now down to half a second here for the race lead. This is tension filled. It was a bit of a slow start of this one, but it's really come alive at the end.
Blajan's got a little bit of time here. He can afford to not make a rash move. He's got about a couple laps. He's got a car that's a lot quicker. He knows he's quicker because he can see himself pulling up onto the back of Yamanaka there. So he's just be thinking out, right, where is the best place for me to pounce? Will it be on T5 or T6 coming up the left-hander up towards the climb? Will it be at the corkscrew? Will it be at the last corner? Let's see here. Through it's coming up to the end now of the first sector. Blajan gaining. He's not quite close enough here. He won't have a move, I don't think, into T6 at the top there. So we'll keep an eye in the background. Benelli gets by, Benelli defending from Carazza, but I think again it's a little bit futile because Carazza's got that pace there, but Benelli's not going to be giving up 4th easy.
Yeah, Carazza's got the soft compound of tyre on, so he's got a lot more grip underneath him. Look in the forefront of your shot there as well. Blajan is all over the back of Tomoyuki Yamanaka as they come up the top of the hill into the corkscrew. Not able to make a move there, is he? I don't think so. Very close close indeed between them, but Yamanaka is really going to be on the defensive here. Is there anything he can do to hold the charge of Patrick Blajan? I wouldn't imagine he'll sort it in the final sector of this lap. I would imagine it'll probably be over the timing line and down towards turn number 2, but never discount anything from Blajan. We know he can really get his elbows out. You can just see in the background there the two Brazilians, Benelli and Carazza, going bumper to bumper, wheel to wheel almost, as Carazza gets himself ahead. Here comes Blajan down the inside for the race lead, side by side in the final corner, and Patrick Blajan takes the lead at the end of the penultimate lap for round 2 of the World Series. They're side by side still as they come over the timing line. Then Yamanaka's on the right, Blajan's on the left. They're going to come down in towards the second corner. Blajan's going to have the inside line and more grip under braking, and he has the race lead.
Nice clean racing from both our drivers there. I think Yamanaka kind of gave that one away. He didn't defend into the last corner, which I was very surprised by, because that is, you know, a prime overtaking spot, and you don't have to invite Paddy Blajan twice, do you? He was straight up the inside, up into the lead, and now it should be a case of just drive away now. Ignore your mirrors, Patrick. You've got the faster car, you've got the better tyres, you should be able to have this one in the bag, but we'll see. Yamanaka, we know, it's very quick and very aggressive. If he even smells an opportunity, he will be on it.
Hugely impressive turn of pace, by the way, from Tomoyoki Yamanaka. 12th in round 1 in the Nations Cup, and now he's fighting, or has been fighting, for the race win in this one.
Tell you what though, Patrick Blajan, what a story. He's up 7 places on his grid position, made that alternate strategy work, starting on the medium compounder tyre, switched to the soft, took the clean air, and just absolutely scythed through the top 6 drivers. Made look like they were standing still. An awesome performance from the Hungarian driver, and he's now only a couple of corners away from taking victory in round 2 of the Nations Cup.
Absolutely supreme from Patrick Blajan. That strategy starting on the medium compounder tyres in the midfield. Looked like he was in no man's land for the rest of it, but it's proven to be an inspired decision. Into the final corner comes Blajan then, from Yamanaka, from Beauvoir, from Carazza. A fantastic grandstand finish in round 2 of the World Series for the 2021 FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships. Patrick Blajan takes the win in the Nations Cup ahead of Tomoyoki Yamanaka, with Baptiste Beauvoir completing the podium in 3rd position. Carazza, Mangano, Benelli, Kokubun, Angelina Stroza up in 8th place. Great from him considering where he started, ahead of Brooks and Miyazono completing the top 10. What a story that race turned out to be. Well, let's take a look then, shall we, at the results from that Nations Cup race. So, Patrick Blajan takes the spoils in round 2 of the Nations Cup ahead of Tomoyoki Yamanaka and Baptiste Beauvoir. They are the 3 drivers who claim their 3 points. Great drive from all of those guys inside the top 10. Brilliant as well from Angelina Stroza in 8th place. Made 6 positions from where he started.
Yeah, good start for him, but what happened to Valerio Gallo? P14 after such a strong round 1. There are your point rankings. Patrick Blajan there, the win, actually takes the lead. 5 points to Valerio Gallo's 3, and Yamanaka with a very strong round 2 moves up into 3rd position.
Oh, thank you so much. And what a fantastic race from Patrick Blajan from Hungary. So I'm delighted to say he joins me on the line now. Patrick, what an incredible performance. You know, you came from 8th on the grid all the way to the win. How are you feeling after that? You must be pretty happy with yourself.
Oh, thank you very much. It was a really exciting race. I'm really happy by how it's gone. It was a tough battle with Yamanaka, but he was really fair and left the door open and let me pass.
Tell us a little bit about your tyre strategy and how that kind of played its part.
I started on the mediums, and I wanted to maintain the pace on the mediums and let every other guys pass who's on softs, but surprisingly there was no one on soft tires behind me. So I saw Valerio pitted on lap 9, so I was like, yeah, maybe it can last for 11 laps, so that's why I chose to do it.
Well, it obviously paid off, and now you're at the top of the Nations Cup standings.
Yeah, I didn't expect that because the tires lasted longer than I expected, and yeah, I'm really happy.
Well, congratulations, supreme strategy there. And we're also joined on the line by our 2nd place finisher, Japan's Tomoyoki Yamanaka. Tomoyoki, how are you feeling after that? You were so close to winning.
いや、そうですね。ポールポジション取れたのはすごく自分の中で意外だったんですけど、レースが始まっていると実際ペースも良くて、かなり勝てるチャンスあるんじゃないかなって思ってたんですけど、ただバレリオ選手にちょっと引っかかってしまったのが、大きくロスタイムになってしまって、最後、パトリック選手に抜かれてしまったので、とても惜しいレースだったんですけど、またでもこうして2位に戻ってくることができて非常に嬉しいです。
There was a lot of fighting going on behind you. Were you even aware of what was going on?
後ろでバトルが起きてたのは実はあまり知らなくて、パトリック選手が上がってきたのはボードを見ながら分かってはいたんですけど、まさか抜かれるところまでなんていうんですかね、8位からだったので、そこはちょっと予想外でしたね。
I think it was unexpected for everyone, but Tomoaki, you did so well. It's such a shame. You were so very, very close. But, you know, it's so great to chat to you. And obviously, of course, better luck next time. Right, let's get some reactions from Tom and Jimmy on how that Nations Cup race went down.
Wow, that doesn't get much better than that, does it, in the Nations Cup race?
Yeah, but slow burner, then suddenly it all just exploded at the end. I mean, a lot of time for that sort of race.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Let's take a look at some highlights, shall we, from round 2 of the Nations Cup. Away from the lights, Tomoaki Yamanaka was on pole position, but it was Valerio Gallo, the Italian, who got the lead over the brow of the hill through turn 1 and on the brakes in towards turn 2. It was the Italian who was in front, but it didn't stay that way for long. Tomoaki Yamanaka tried to challenge.
Yeah, we'll skip forward quite a bit in the race now. This is where Gallo started to really struggle on his tyres, really starting to get loose and just lose ground to the cars around him. It became a freeway scrap for the lead. Yamanaka, Baptiste Beauvoir and Valerio Gallo all fighting hard to try and get into that first position.
Yeah, don't forget, of course, Gallo changed over onto those medium tyres early on, and his tyres were shot towards the end of this race. And you can see there, Yamanaka going for the outside line down in towards turn number 2, but got the switchback on the inside as Gallo ran it too deep into that corner, got himself into the lead, and this is where the race became a little bit more tricky for Gallo, running it wide out of turn 3, back onto the circuit. It was a hell of a save, but it cost him time, and then it all went wrong at the next corner.
Yeah, just got dirt on his tyres, and at that point the tyres are pretty much useless. Turns in, nothing happens, just slides out, and then he collects. I think that's Kobe on the way through as well. But here was the pass for lead. Patrick Bajan, an awesome drive through the field, getting Yamanaka just on the last corner on the penultimate lap. But it wasn't quite over. Yamanaka did try and come back at him coming over the brow of the hill here, but Patrick Bajan on the better soft tyre. More grip, more braking capability, just managed to hold on to the inside, and that was that.
Fantastic drive from Patrick Blajan as well. Great from Tomoaki Yamanaka to really stick it to the Hungarian driver. Tried as hard as he could, but it just wasn't quite enough to fault Patrick Blajan, and a dominant win in the second round of the Nations Cup for World Series 2. Brilliant driving. I think we need to take a look at some of the key moments, though, from that race. And interestingly, let's start with the start, because look at Valerio Gallo here. Starts in second gear.
Yeah, really interesting strategy here, because these cars are manual in real life, so that little gear change, that time between gears for Yamanaka just slowed him up and gave Gallo the run. I would never have thought to start this car in second gear, but that's what you get from trying. Here's more of Gallo, sort of his demise, so to speak. Started with that, then went flying off the course here at T6, T7, just trying to gather the car back up again, nearly got into a massive crash in Miyazono, and at this point the tyres just ruined. He pitted far too early, wore them out, and he had no response to anyone around him, and ended up finishing way off the back of the field.
Yeah, very disappointing end to the race there for Valerio Gallo. I mean, he'll be disappointed with that. Somebody who'll be elated, though, Patrick Blajan. Oh, good old Paddy B. What a race it was from him. Let's take a look, shall we, at his race. Away from the lights, he was quite far down the order, but he started on the medium tyre, changed over onto the softs a bit later than everybody else, and then just carved his way through the field.
Yeah, he was the leader of the alternate strategy, and having this soft tyre at the end just meant that anybody else around him on the medium compound tyre just had no response. He did really well here to avoid Valerio Gallo and sort of the gaggle of cars that were congregating at the bottom of the circuit, and just very carefully and methodically, as he always does, makes his way up through the field, got alongside Yamanaka, and that was it. And to be honest, that's one of the drives of the season for me.
Phenomenal stuff from Patrick Blajan. Very well-deserved victory for round 2 of the World Series for the FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships. Let's take a look, shall we, at the standings, though, from that race. You can see Patrick Blajan sits at the top of the pile from Valerio Gallo, despite non-scoring that one. He still somehow holds on to second, just ahead of Tomoaki Yamanaka. Lopez and Beauvoir also on the points board there. So really interesting as we get into the latter stages of the FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships.
What another incredible day of racing. We've had some star performances, so let's begin celebrating them by joining Tom for the Manufacturers Series podium ceremony.
Yeah, thanks very much indeed, Julia. Then first up, it's the podium for the Manufacturer Series. In third place, it is Team Mercedes-Benz and their driver, Luca Spinelli. In second place, it's Team Honda and their driver, Valerio Gallo. And the winner of round 2 of the World Series for the FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships in the Manufacturer Series is Team Subaru and their driver, Takuma Miyazono.
It's time for the national anthem of Japan.
Fantastic, very well deserved. We'll be over for the Nations Cup podium in just a moment, but before that, we'd like everyone who's watching to help us out a little bit in choosing our Michelin Driver of the Day. I guess I could ask you, Jimmy, seeing as you're here, who'd kind of be your hot picks for Driver of the Day?
Oh, man, we've got a couple to choose from. I'm going to start with, I think, Lucas Bonelli for his recovery in the first race. I think he made good friends with the pit wall, which is not really an ideal scenario, and then dragged it back up into third place, which is a great recovery. Also, Tomoyuki Yamanaka as well. Returned to form, finally.
Yes, finally.
Really quick in the first race. Not quite able to hold off Patrick Blajan, but, you know, still a very good result. And speaking of Patrick Blajan, again, race 2, mad. He first in the medium runners, overtook, I think it was 6 cars on his way to victory. Just, you don't really see that very often.
Wasted all their softs. They're all like gunning behind him, and he's just like, nope, sorry about it.
Exactly. It was a really great run. And also, I guess, honourable mention to Takumi Miyazono, just won the first race easily, but good return to form for him as well.
Well, you know, whether you agree with Jimmy or not, and please feel entitled, you know, to disagree loudly, turn on that caps lock. Head to the Gran Turismo Facebook, Twitter or Instagram stories and get voting. And may the best driver of the day win. Now it's time for the podium of that fantastic Nations Cup.
Yeah, thanks very much indeed, Julia. What a phenomenal Nations Cup race. Let's take a look then, shall we, at the podium finishers. In third place from France, Baptiste Beauvoir. In second place from Japan, Tomoyuki Yamanaka. And the winner of the Nations Cup race for World Series 2 from Hungary, it's Patrick Blajan. And now your respect, please, for the national anthem of Hungary.
Epic day of racing. Well done to Team Subaru and their driver Takuma Miyazono for winning our Manufacturers Series race. And of course, huge congratulations to our Nations Cup winner, Patrick Blajan from Hungary. Thanks as always, though, to Tom and to you, Jimmy, as well. I give you thanks.
Oh, thanks, Julia. And not forgetting, of course, all our incredible drivers. Stay across our Facebook and YouTube channels to catch all the latest Gran Turismo action. Also, don't miss the World Series Showdown, which is happening next month.
Yes, it is. But I guess that's kind of it for today. We look forward to seeing you very, very soon. From everyone here at GT, bye for now.